question for you is, what will you choose to challenge? It's about saying no more. Stop. That is not cool. Is what will you choose to challenge? We might not be able to fight every single bias, but if we all choose just one challenge, our chances will grow.
What type are you? What entices you? What stands out for you? What stands for you? Might not think it's you, but it's precisely you. When they see something off and you're gonna stop when it all comes down to you. Never expected to dissolve this. Women, I hold the population, note this. But they only see 10% of the world's income consulting. If you don't speak up, you condone this. I shouldn't really have to approach this, but it's world with the monogamy, so to speak. We should stick up for each other to resolve this. Simple steps, all of this starts with you and me. It's a beat, you and me. Pull out the bias and you will see. Celebrate women's achievements so she be seen. For an inclusive world, you be key. I said you be key. For your sister and cousin, you be key. For your mother and auntie, you be key. For the unity, choose to challenge for the community. I choose to challenge, choose to challenge, is what will challenge, choose to challenge, we might not be able to fight every single bias, but if we all choose one challenge, our chances will grow. That's what's hot, and for those of you left with pop, so when I hold us down for what bosses and then don't beat down what on top, time to stop paving ways, show the world what you got, tell them the out his way, I'm to bring inequality to a stop. Are you listening? Is it sinking in? Are you permitting it? Are you standing up? Are you seeing it? On the internet? Are you clicking it? Are you nipping it? When you witness inequality, dismiss them, or you letting them. By admitting this, you're getting things on the right path, playing the right path. To that evolution, with your contribution, we can cut out exclusion. That's a woman's solution. Involves us confusing, involves us introducing. I'm learning we are not equal, so tell me what side are you choosing? I choose to challenge, choose to challenge, choose to challenge, choose to challenge, choose to challenge. We might not be able to fight every single bias, but if we all choose one challenge, our chances. That's what's hot, and for those of you left with pop, so when I hold it down for what bosses and then don't beat down what on top, time to stop paving ways, show the world what you got, tell them out his way, I'm to bring inequality to a stop.
Good morning, International Women's Day. Choose to challenge. We are live once again, and we've got a fantastic day lined up for you. Let me have a look at my running order. Let me tell you actually a little bit about International Women's Day. Obviously, a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And this day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. So we've come together to celebrate women's achievements. I've got a fantastic lineup for you. As I say, this year's theme is Choose to Challenge. And what I want you to do is pop in the comments anyone that you want to give a shout out to. Tell me how you're going to choose to challenge. This is your show. I want you to be a part of it. Tell me where you are, what platform you're listening on, whether that be Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. If you're watching on Catch Up, thanks so much. You're going to have a treat in store for you today. Let me take you through who we've got. We've got our friend Dinah. I say our friend of the show. Episode number 1 was Dinah, and she's back. She's joining the Two Timers Club 200 episodes later. And then we've got Sharon Bolt. Sharon is known as the mindset media expert. So Sharon's going to tell us all about how to gain some publicity following the pandemic. And then we've got Sharon MacArthur and Dinah Boden. Now, if I had explicit lyrics stamp, I would definitely stamp that next half hour, because when these two women get together, okay, there's going to be a few F-bombs dropped, I'm pretty much sure. So I'm not in there, right? It's nothing to do with me. It's all about them, because I'm going to step away and Sharon and Tina are going to host a session. Sharon is known as Miss Menopause. Tina describes herself as more Marmite than Magnolia. So you've been warned, okay? That's 10:45 till 11:15. Then we've got Juliette Brown. She's going to tell us all about her journey of owning a company for 25 years here in the Northeast. That's going to be fantastic. And then we've got Kaylee Davidson-Olley, the UK's first successful heart transplant baby. Kaylee is an amazing, amazing woman. Very inspirational. Can't wait to speak to Kaylee. And then we've got our Sukhee, friend of the show. Sukhee's on at 12:15. She's going to talk about her platform, I'm Possible, and what that's all about. And then we've got Emma Burridge from Northeast Homeless to end the show, and that's at 12:30. So loads of stuff there. And I'm going to ask each one of our guests what Choose to Challenge means to them, which is this year's theme. So let me just see who we've got. We've got our Katie. Hi, Katie. Yes, a fantastic lineup indeed. Carl is Jules, who is at 11:15. Carl's Jules' colleague, so Carl will be rooting for Jules. Hi, Victoria. Good for you to join us. Sharon, excited to join us. 10:30. I had a bit of a panic there, Sharon. I thought you're not on 10:30, but you are. You're there. I'll see you there. Hi, Louise. Thanks for joining us. So let me know if you are out there. Let me know who has inspired you, who motivates you, who you'd like to give a shout out to. I'd like to give a shout out to Misha, who's put all this together. I get the easy job, as you know. I just rock up, sit here and speak to some amazing people for half an hour. But she does all the good work in the background. So thanks so much, Misha. You've been amazing. And this is your platform to shout out who you find absolutely motivating, inspiring, who you want other people to recognize, to know. Maybe it's a book you've read, a poem, an actress, a song, whatever. Tell me all about that person. Mark, great for you to join us. You're in the office. Sneaky devil. I'm not going to get you wrong, mind. Put your earphones in and just keep us on the small bit in the corner, okay? But thanks for joining us, Mark. Right. I think, shall we bring our first guest in? Shall we do this? And let me give her a nice introduction first, okay? Dinah is founder, director of International Consultants for Entrepreneurship and Enterprise Consult. I've got a little bit of a gap here in what you've done, Misha. I've just been singing your praises and I've got a gap on my... Global Lead for Enterprise Development for Women's Economic Imperative. Welcome to the show, Dinah, for the second time.
Good morning. It's great to be here. I'm really privileged to join the stellar lineup you've got. So thank you.
A total stellar lineup. I'm trying to read your introduction here, and I got a bit mixed up because you know what it is. There's so much I could say about you, Dinah. This doesn't do it justice. You know, you are one of the most motivational women I've ever met, to be honest, and that's why you were the first person I ever had on my podcast. Because all those years ago when we met, I was just blown away by some of the stuff that you do in lots of different countries, and you must have spoke to thousands and thousands over the years and just inspired so many. So I want you to give me an introduction rather than this one. Who are you, Dinah? What do you do?
I'm blushing. Thanks for the introduction. I'm Dinah Bennett. I run my own company, which is International Consultants for Entrepreneurship and Enterprise. And I'm also the global lead for enterprise development at the Women's Economic Imperative, which is a fantastic organisation that actually came out of a UN high-level panel for women's economic empowerment. And it's just working globally, looking at all the sort of intersectionalities to ensure that women are able to be economically empowered. So it's a real privilege to be working with them. And our CEO, Dr. Margot Thomas, is one of the most inspirational women you could ever come across. In fact, she'd actually make a great podcast guest for your series, Ian. So I'd highly recommend that. And it just seems such a long time ago since I did my first podcast with you. Congratulations on having 200 plus. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it must be about 6 years ago now. It's a long, long time. And for anybody who doesn't know you, they might have heard that sentence or two that you've said there, but still not really understand. So tell me a couple of examples, Dinah, of women that you've worked with, or women, or some projects that you work with, and some of the companies that you've also worked in, and maybe some stories of change.
Well, I've been privileged to work, I think, in every single continent. I haven't actually counted how many countries, but as my company suggests, international consultants, I do work overseas. I mean, the current projects I'm working on at the moment, one for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development in Central Asia, working in Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, looking at the policy and regulation framework in those countries, and how they can impact both either positively or negatively on women thinking of starting and growing businesses. So that's current. And we do see policies are a big issue, which is why when I talk about my challenge, choosing to challenge, I want to call out policies that hinders women's economic development or enterprise development, because often policies are actually made by policymakers that have no understanding of what goes on at grassroots level, let alone how that impacts on issues of gender. Another project I'm currently working on is a business startup and growth program for women entrepreneurs in Libya. I actually won that contract during lockdown. So it's really tricky sometimes doing everything online, because to me, so much of the work that I do is the joy of meeting people and interacting with them. And it's slightly trickier, as we all know, online. But hopefully with the vaccines, we're sort of slowly coming out of this. So as well as doing those projects, my company, I work on behalf of Women's Economic Imperative. And last year I was co-chair of one of the task force of the T20, which is the Think 20, the think tank of the G20 countries. So Saudi Arabia had the presidency last year and Italy has the presidency this year. I'm currently working on some new policy briefs, but my role on behalf of the Women's Economic Imperative is to make sure that gender is featured. And sometimes when reviewing some of the policy briefs, it's really tricky just to get gender as a footnote. So if we're not getting gender on the agenda, it's not going to be addressed. So it's really quite important, and work that I really, really enjoy. Obviously, I've got loads of projects close to home as well. I work with colleagues at Newcastle University, Nicholas Patterson. We co-founded Gender and Entrepreneurship Northeast. And in fact, you came to one of our scoping meetings at Durham University. And so that's looking at the sort of meso-macro level as to how we can actually affect change within the system to support more gender equal or equity in terms of people who wish to start and run a business in this region, which is actually really exciting. So yes, a whole host of different things.
It is, and even just let's talk about close to home for the moment. That project you've done there. What are some of the outputs from that? What has happened? What are the outcomes from some of that work where you've got together with stakeholders, you've tried to map it out and see what we need? What was actually the outcome?
Well, we have a whole variety of different sort of activities that we're involved in, and we've got a fantastic advisory board from people around the region, either those running their businesses or in business support. And one of the things that we did was working with the Women's Enterprise Policy Group, a national organisation. We actually challenged the Chancellor in terms of some of the lockdown or the COVID strategies that have come out that are really impacting, badly against women in the main. And one thing, as we all know, that COVID has done has really highlighted and brought to the fore the disparities that we see, and how women in particular, the Black and minority ethnic community running businesses, have been hardest hit. So it's really calling things out and highlighting some of these issues so that something can be done about it. I think it's really important. So yes, I'm really pleased to be working on that. I mean, I'm very passionate about, the Northeast region, as you know, and, I feel that I can't possibly work internationally without doing something where I live, grassroots, which is very important.
It must be really exciting for you, because you will go to, some developing countries as well, and you'll see. Is there a theme, Dinah? Are there themes that when you see you go to many countries around the world? Is there a theme that you come across quite often?
When you say a theme, you mean in relation to gender?
Women in entrepreneurship. Really, I was thinking about that.
Oh yes, wherever I work, to me it's the sort of like similar threads that I see in every country, with some additional sort of contextual ones. So it's the perception of women in many countries as to what their role should be. Women shouldn't be running a business. Women shouldn't be sticking their head above the parapet. They should be at home looking after children. And in some of my studies and work, I'm told this, so we don't want women to run businesses. The issue of fragmented credit histories. When I'm working with bankers, I do a lot of training with bankers around the world. Okay. And they say to me, but Dinah, I treat men and women the same when they come to me. And I'm saying that's the problem. because women do have a fragmented credit history. They've had to take time off work. So we're not, starting from a level playing field. But also it's the nature of multitasking often of women, that they will run actually maybe 2 or 3 part-time jobs with that inkling of an idea to start a business. And research conducted by Project Northeast many years ago found that from an inkling of an idea for a woman to start a business to jumping into it full time can sometimes take up to 7 years. Sometimes it can take a lot shorter. I mean, I must stress that women are not a homogeneous group. So when I'm talking about women, we must understand the heterogeneous nature of them. But some things do take a lot longer because initially childcare, that women do have to juggle that and put their family first. So yes, very, very similar themes. So the perception barrier, I think, is quite important, that women don't do this. And we're seeing this quite clearly in the STEM sectors, because there are so few role models there. Women actually believe in themselves. They think, well, maybe I can't do it. And other people say, well, no one else has done it before as a woman, so why should you be able to? So there are the perceptual barriers, and to me, those are the invisible ones, and they're harder to crack, really, because they're quite hidden. We've talked about access to finance. In many developing countries, the whole issue of sanitary protection. Girls miss weeks of school because of no sanitary protection. And we're seeing some fantastic schemes springing up now to ensure that they don't have to miss their education. Because once you miss a whole chunk of education, that's the platform for you going forward. And again, where's the equity there? They're always starting on a back foot. So a whole host of different things, but some common themes.
It's really interesting. You talk a little bit there about policies and calling out policies.
Yeah.
How does that process work? Sometimes people might feel a certain way about a policy that that I'm trying to kind of, I guess Twitter and the likes of things like where people will take to social media and they'll say something down that they don't agree with and they'll blurt it out, and that's it. What can you actually do to say what you've just said there, to call out policies, to make a change, to challenge what we're talking about today? How can people impact that then, rather than just sort of taking to social and saying, "No, I disagree with this"? What is the real impact that people can make?
That's a really interesting question, Ian. And people will often say to me, gosh, I feel so helpless. I'm just in a minority. I can't do anything. And I love that phrase of anyone that felt they were too small to do anything has never spent the night with a mosquito, And I just think that's sort of quite a great analogy. But I will say, well, join a group, find your tribe, find people that think the same way as you. You can actively, there are all party parliamentary groups that one can join. One of my bugbears was that when one looked at the composition of these all-party parliamentary groups, they were so Southern-centric. And I was told it's because we can't afford to pay for people to come down. And I said, well, many people would actually pay for themselves. But the interesting thing now is, now we've gone online, many of the all-party parliamentary groups are online and anyone from anywhere in the country can join. So I hope that when we go back, we can still hear voices from around the country to contribute their stories. I do think you should join different groups and associations and really get your voice heard. I mean, you talk about social media. I mean, I am very wary of social media because, some of the negativity, that's sort of spewed out on it. And I don't find that very, very positive or helpful. But I feel that if you want people to understand your story, coming from a measured perspective, and it's almost like marketing, isn't it? Sort of inbound marketing, go to where people will read things and, make a really measured comment and talk about the reasons why. I mean, I mentioned earlier when we talk about policy is often made by people that don't have the understanding of grassroots, which is why when there's a whole consultation process, we need to get people involved. This whole Eat Out to Help Out scheme, as far as I was concerned, it helped big businesses, not the smaller, not the SMEs, to be honest, in the main. Why was that? And we're always talking that SMEs are the backbone of any country. Well, why isn't enough being done to understand them and their needs when policy is being formulated? You know, we used to have small firms, Minister, we don't anymore. Why is that? So I just don't think there are enough people at the table to understand the issues. And that's another reason why we're calling for more women to actually be called, not just to sort of C-suites, to different committees so their voices can be heard.
I don't know how do you promote that, Dinah? So how do you get out there and be a voice to promote that? Is it that you need ambassadors, people to step up and share their story and promote? Is that the answer?
I think sharing stories is actually quite powerful and role model. I remember when I used to work on Women into the Network. Gosh, that set that up 21 years ago. That was in response to the fact that I was doing research at Durham Business School to look at what made successful small businesses. And try as I might, I could only find 2 women to go into my research study.
Wow.
Where were they? Mm-hmm. Don't women run businesses? I mean, a lot has changed now, which is fantastic. But, I kept digging to find out what was going on here. And one of the things that came out of the research was that relationships and networking was one of the most powerful business development tools. So I started looking at what was going on in the region. And I found out that there were 700 different networks and support organisations that should a woman wish to join, she could. And it was going from either mainstream, so the CBI, the Chamber, Federation of Small Business, to either sort of specifically targeted networks, And a lot of women networks could have been like childcare, parent and baby clubs or whatever, child clubs. But when I spoke to women about mainstream business events, they said, I would go, but the timing's all wrong for me. And they're always at a fixed time when I have to actually do the sort of domestic or childcare. Or I do go to some of them, but I'm actually treated like somebody's secretary. I'm not treated as a businesswoman in my own right. And that's why I felt to sort of level up, we needed something that did treat women as businesswomen or aspirant businesswomen and catered to their needs. And we listened to what they said. And we had events from early in the morning to sometimes late at night. Mm-hmm. The women would choose its choice, which was best suited to them. Where these events were held were really important as well, because it could be quite intimidating sometimes, or to drive somewhere far away to go to a 4-star hotel. So we ran a range of events in different venues, community centres. We also ran them in 5-star hotels too, of course we did. But it was very important, and it goes back to the heterogeneity of the women's market. We're not all the same. And indeed, many women would say to me, don't even talk to me about childcare. If a woman can't sort out her childcare when she's thinking of setting up and running a business, she shouldn't be doing it. So, a lot of different sort of views and perspectives, but it's understanding that nature and that diversity. And that's what makes it so vibrant. So join clubs, join networks, read things or read papers or magazines. Listen to podcasts that Industry Angel puts on. Get on there and comment. Have your say and become more visible. I think it's really important. I think, women that have something to say should be made more visible. And I think sometimes the media, the press is sometimes a bit guilty of this. They will pick sort of half a dozen women in the region or any region, I'm not just saying North East, that are quite vocal. And they'll always be the same old. And I think what we should be doing is digging a lot deeper and looking a little harder to get different voices.
I love that. I'm going to take that. I'm going to create a little promo video for 30 seconds, which I'll push out there because that is perfect. And we see that on a grander scale, Dinah. We see the Jeff Bezos, the Steve Jobs, these people punted out all the time. And it's lazy journalism. It's actually lazy storytelling because there's so many people out there doing amazing stuff. And even today, we've got Jules on, who's on at 11:15. Jules has never done a podcast, never done any live stuff, never spoke. She's been saying how she's nervous and stuff. She is amazing. 25 years in business in the region, but doesn't tell anybody. And this is a platform to do that. And I want more people to do that and share because we are punting the same people over and over again. And if we punt the same people, we hear the same rhetoric and nothing changes. We need new, fresh ideas.
You're so right. And good for Jules. I think that's brilliant, you know, that she's doing this with you. And also, but your podcasts are fantastic. The diversity of the people and the opinions that you have there, I think it's really, really important and not the same old, same old. I remember I worked really closely with this fantastic journalist at the Journal on the business pages. And I explained to her, and she was, I'll name her, Rebecca Ashby. She does deserve a shout out. She was fantastic. I don't think she's in journalism anymore. But she was always willing to learn and wanted to know why we were doing the things that we were doing. And I explained to her that I used to get really cross, that I'd only see articles about women on the women's pages, you know, and that's not right. When we're talking about women doing business, I want to see them on the women's pages. So we had an agreement that if I fed her stories of women doing business in this region, she would undertake to get one in every single day on the business pages. And she did that. And what a difference that made, because women were seen to be doing business and talked about, you know, all the issues around that. And it did make a huge difference. And I think our region for women-owned business is pretty vibrant, actually, you know, really important. So, yes, raise the profile of lots of different types of women. It's exactly what you're doing.
You mentioned that they said, you know, women are not visible or they haven't been. Is it because there hasn't been other women visible, so then they think that they shouldn't be? So when we are, this is getting a bit complicated, when we show people, when we give women a platform, is it that they feel inspired to then feel that they can then step forward, Dinah? How does that work?
I think it's a mixture of different things. Sometimes it's women that have a lot of confidence, but sometimes are really sort of like not saying things that other women can relate to. Okay. So I would like the idea that you've got this woman who's running a business for 25 years, never been on, you know, media or done an interview. I think that's wonderful. I bet she has an awful lot to say. And it's partly a confidence thing. And I always say to women, if you're nervous about doing something, just do it. What's the worst thing that can happen, really? But also, it's offering a sort of coaching facility. I remember when I first did that podcast with you, I think it was one of the first podcasts I'd done. You were brilliant. You know, you set it up. You coached me, Ian, saying, you know, this is what I'll expect. We'll just have, you know, talk about X, Y, and Z. And it made such a difference. So I think a lot more women could come forward and get support. One of the things that we're just about to set up is something called Articulate Women. And it's actually getting more women's voices heard. But not only that, it's actually getting women that have something to say that said, oh, I can't do that, or I really don't want to do that. But then coaching them to enable them to do that. And I think that's really, really important to actually get that the diversity of different women's voices. So I think fear of, you know, being silly. I mean, gosh, honestly, I've learned so much from sort of like making massive mistakes and being silly. But I keep saying, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? And, you know, if something I've said can inspire just one woman to do something differently, you know, and I mean, I'm terrified. You know, I contacted you days ago saying, oh, you know, I've not done this for a long time, but I must say you do make it very easy, Ian, and it's great to be here. So don't hold yourself back, I say.
Not at all. And you know, before I press that red button, you do get a bit of nerves because you're going live and it's on there, it's on the internet. But I think you wouldn't be human if you didn't have those nerves, and that just shows how much it means to you that you do feel that way, because you want it to be good and you want to inspire and you want to share great content. Something you said 5 minutes or so ago, Dinah, was that you started, I think it was Women in Network was the term, 21 years ago.
Yes, Women into the Network, yeah. Women
into the Network, that was 21 years ago, Dinah.
Yeah.
Have you saw a positive change in those 21 years?
Oh, massive. I mean, I sort of left it 10 years ago in good hands. And I think the awards ceremonies are still going. And I've seen massive changes. And the thing that I really regret not doing is a study of all the women that were shortlisted for our awards. And I was very, very conscious that I didn't want to set up yet another awards ceremony, Ian, you know, because to me that sort of dilutes what you're doing sometimes when there are too many of them. But I I was urged to do this because the awards that we had in the region were called Businessman of the Year or Businessman of the Year. So I challenged the journal saying, well, why are you calling it Businessman of the Year? They said, well, because it's for businessmen, it's men that do business. And I said, all right, okay. And a lot of my academic male colleagues said, but that's the generic term, isn't it, for someone that does business? I said, no. If I'm a woman doing a business, I'm a businesswoman, not a businessman. And language, visual imagery are incredibly important. Yeah. So I worked with a journal, and they told me that only 4% of nominations came from women. And I think in 1999 or 1998, a woman won the award, but then she was called Businessman of the Year. And I was saying, well, what is that message that's being given out to other aspirant business women? And so I decided to set up Women Entrepreneur of the Year. Now, another organisation in London had just set up some awards, and they were naming them in Greek goddesses. Now, I have a lot of respect for that organisation and a lot of respect for the Greek goddesses. But I thought, why name women's business awards in the name of Greek goddesses? You may as well name them in Disney characters, right? Women who do business in a whole range of different sectors. And I want that, raised to the fore. Yeah. So our categories were women in manufacturing, women in social enterprise, women in different sectors, best startup, and the whole sort of shebang. And what was amazing, I also set up, in terms of our governance structure, a really amazing judging panel. I mean, everything was done above board. It wasn't a case of, she looks good, let's have her. It was done in a very, very meticulous way and thorough way, because I felt that was so important. Because as a women's organisation, setting something like that up, it could be viewed as being diminutive, really. It doesn't really count. So, and all the women that were shortlisted, you can actually chart their trajectory as to the national and international awards they then went on to win. It was quite remarkable, actually. As I say, that's only anecdotal, but I could still do a study to look at that. So it's putting women on that platform to inspire others to recognise them. The other rule that we had was, for all the sponsors, was that you weren't allowed to talk for more than a minute. When you go to these award ceremonies and the sponsor will talk for 5 minutes, and you're thinking, what's this about? We put the women at the forefront. So she spoke. These women spoke about their businesses and what they do. And to me, what it was an educational process to those in the audience. It was great. In fact, our tickets used to sell out way in advance. We never had a problem of selling tickets. So it was a two-way educational process. It was fantastic. So yes, I think that's really important, is give women a platform, create platforms that other people can see. So, they become the role models and inspire others. Sorry, talking too much.
No, I love that. I listen all day. And before you do leave us, I do love your stories, Dinah, and I do love to travel off into other places and hear inspirational stuff. A country that's close to my heart is India, and I know you've done some work in some countries and work with some inspirational women. I love your stories. Can I have a couple of stories from you? You've worked with some
I go to India for the last 20 years. I go to India every year, and I work with an NGO called Sampark. And Sampark's based in Bangalore, and it does the most phenomenal work. And this small team at Sampark over the years have economically empowered over 75,000 women in the poorest areas of Karnataka and Varanasi by setting up really small savings groups with groups of women. It's phenomenal. And they can just come in every couple of weeks and, put in the pot 5 rupees, 10 rupees, very small amounts. And these women have gone on to build businesses over the years. And it's so small. I want to sing the praises of its founder, Dr. Smita Premchanda, and her amazing team, because the work she's doing is so transformational. It really is. I'm a trustee. I work with an amazing guy called Mike Amaya, and he works in the largest slum in East Africa. And what he does, he's a dancer actually, but he's very, very entrepreneurial. So he was brought up in Kibera, the slum. And he sets up dance classes. So I've been to his dance classes for these young children that live in the slums, boys and girls. And working with Dance Centre Kenya, an amazing woman called Cooper Rust, they have taken children, young people from the slums, and they have got them scholarships. Well, they haven't got them. They've been awarded scholarships because they're so talented at the Royal Ballet School in London, Copenhagen, in the States. So these stories, honestly, just talking about it, the hairs on the back of my neck, talk about it. But Mike has also set up, he's doing a lot of enterprise education with the schools in the slums there. But he set up a free sanitary protection program. So young girls can just be text from local stores within Kibera to get the sanitary protection that they need to enable them to continue to go to school. Because that's one big thing all over the world with young girls, as I mentioned earlier. They lose days, weeks, months from education because of lack of sanitary protection. That shouldn't happen to any young girl, So, two examples. But I mean, I'm so privileged to work in the area that I'm working and with the people that I'm working. I just love it, And I'm seeing change, but we still have a long way to go. I mean, all the work that we do at the T20 and the G20 is looking at the Sustainable Development Goals. And the headline there is leave no one behind. And that's really important. Leave no one behind. And I think that's really what we're trying to do, make sure that everyone is coming with us.
I love those stories, and that's why I asked you to share them. And I know, what else I love? The photographs. Some of the photographs that I've seen you in, and the women that wear traditional wears and bright colours, and you're in amongst them, and they're smiling, and it must just be so rewarding for you, Dinah. I need to come on a mission with you next time. You need to bring me along with you because it looks so amazing, and you must learn as well, Dinah. This is not, this is very much a two-way street, isn't it?
Of course, I learn so much from the people that I work with. I think it's really important. I'm not taking knowledge to these people. I am learning from them. And things that I learn in sub-Saharan Africa, in India, in China, I bring back, and share with people in the north. So it's not the north going to the south. It's a two-way street, as you say. Yeah. Learning from each other. It's just fantastic. And I'd love you to come on a trip. I can imagine all the podcasts that you could do with all the people that you meet in some of those places.
Just an audio recorder, just capturing content, that would be an absolute dream. And some of the inspiration from innovation, when there's little resource there, the innovation that pops out is just remarkable. Sometimes I bet you've seen so many little hacks and innovative businesses.
Well, I think it does bring to life. What's that phrase? Necessity is the mother of invention, really. And people that have so little, and it just makes me very conscious about, living in the West, living in a developed economy, how much we have, but how little we appreciate sometimes, And it's almost like, becoming grounded and realizing, do we need all this, really? And I think COVID's actually given a lot of food for thought, hasn't it? For a number of reasons. I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happened, but I'd like to think that some positivity comes out of it by making us think about, the whole issue of vaccine equity. No one is safe until we're all safe, so we really do need to push to ensure that other people, are vaccinated as well as ourselves,
Well, Dinah, that's a lovely place to leave it. And thank you so much for sharing your stories. I love that. I can listen to you all day. And so can everybody else. Look, here's Carolyn there.
You're very kind. Thanks for having me on. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else. Keep up the great work.
There's our Deb.
Hi, Deb. And happy International Women's Day.
Well, thank you so much, Dinah, for joining us. We've got another rock star in the background, the green room there. I can see her waiting. So thank you so much, Dinah. Let's not leave it as long next time.
No,
and
my pleasure.
Thank you so much for all the amazing work you're doing.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Dinah.
Bye.
There you go. That's our Dinah from episode 1, 6 years ago. And there she comes back for another fantastic interview. So then we've got our friend Sharon, the mindset media expert. She helps business owners and entrepreneurs to get ongoing publicity, so they get in front of thousands or even millions of their dream clients as the go-to authority in their niche. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Ian.
Now, you think I should have read these introductions before I try to chuck them out. This is how we roll on this show, Sharon. We just see how things go. We just fly by the seat of our pants, but I'm so glad you could join us again.
I'm so pleased to be here. What an amazing interview with Dinah. What an amazing lady she is.
She is indeed. She is indeed. And we've got so many more coming on. So we've got you for the next 15 minutes. I'm literally going to close my mouth and hand over to you because we've got 15 minutes of absolute gold with you. So over to you, Sharon.
Fantastic. Well, there's three things that I'd like to talk about today, because there's different areas and different ways we can get publicity. So I'd like to speak about traditional PR, which is things like newspapers, magazines, TV and radio, getting publicity on those outlets. And then there's, of course, the digital PR, which is the podcast shows, the blog sites, the YouTube channels. And there's also something else that's just brilliant at raising your profile and getting visibility and giving you credibility. It's something that not many business owners are using at this time, but it's so good. And I'm going to call it the new kid on the block. So I want to cover that too.
Fantastic. I'd love to hear it. You just go for it. You've got people waiting to hear all about this, how to get... I mean, some of the work you do is fantastic. And the way your process is amazing. You create relationships. It's not very much a one-way street. You do create relationships. So I can't wait to hear this. So over to you, Sharon.
Right, great. Well, first I want to say that, obviously the topic was how to get publicity after the pandemic, but let's not wait. Let everything I'm going to share with you today, let's do it now. You can start this right now. So this is relevant now and also after the pandemic. So let's start with the traditional PR. So I'm talking about getting featured on TV, on radio, on newspaper and magazine. And one of the ways that you can do this, and this day is a prime example, this is an awareness day that's celebrated and is highlighted. So this, International Women's Day is an awareness day. So if you go to the website, and it's easy to remember, awarenessdays.com, there's a whole load of awareness days, weeks, months, and things that you can celebrate in order to get publicity. So, of course, the whole thing about getting publicity is really hooking your business onto what is relevant into the media. So the great thing about awareness days is that you can see in advance what is relevant to you and your business. So do check out that website. I've got no affiliates with it at all, but do check out that website. But also there's things like, the seasons, spring, summer, autumn, winter. So let me give you an example about how this would work. Now, spring, let's take spring, for example. Now, here in the Northern Hemisphere, spring starts on the 20th of March this year. So, of course, that opens up all types of opportunities for business owners about spring and linking your business onto spring and spring cleaning. Now, of course, there's going to be something obvious, like, for example, if you was a feng shui expert, you could come up with something like how to spring clean your home using the 5 feng shui elements. But let's take it a bit deeper and let me explain how you would link it onto your business if it wasn't quite so obvious. So let's take a relationship expert, and this could be something like how to spring clean your marriage and spice it up. So you're using that spring clean in your marriage as a relationship expert. Or a psychologist or a life coach or mental health coach. How about how to spring clean your brain in 3 easy steps? So again, you're spring cleaning, you're using that to hook your business. Nutritional expert, for example, how to spring clean your liver in 3 days. There's lots of 3-day detoxes. I would do them myself. So, as a nutritional expert, when it comes to spring, we're looking to spring clean ourselves. And how about an IT business? Spring clean your computer. So can you see that, how that that, you know, what is relevant and happening right now in the media, how you can hook your business and come up with something that's going to be interesting to the right media outlet. Does that make sense, Ian?
Very sneaky, very sneaky. I love it.
Okay, well, I know we've got 15 minutes. I'm going to try and cram in as
You go
much
for
as I
it.
possibly can. So I'm going to go on to the next part now, which is the digital PR. Now, I'm talking about podcasts, I'm talking about blog sites and YouTube channels. Now, this is how you and I met, Ian, isn't it? I came as a guest on your podcast show, your wonderful Industry Angel business podcast show, and it's just a phenomenal way of getting publicity. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the data about podcasts, because this is really will bring it home to you as to why this is such a good outlet to go for, and anyone can do this. So let me talk about with Apple. They have a conference every year, and back in 2018 they confirmed that there were over 550,000 podcasts. Now, data that has been released in literally January this year is saying there is now 1,750,000 podcasts. So just in a matter of 2.5 years, the growth of podcast shows has gone up for 1,200,000. So this brings such a huge opportunity for business owners and entrepreneurs to get their message out there. And it, you know, as I say, it's available to anybody. Some podcast shows want to know about your business story. Some want to know tips on what you do. So this is phenomenal how to do it. So I thought what I would do in order to demonstrate, you know, a little bit how this happens is maybe talk about how I became a guest on your show, Ian. Are you open for that?
Go for your life. Yeah, sounds good. And it was a great story. So go on, go for it.
What I did and what I suggest people do is I went to iTunes. So I didn't know Ian before. I didn't know him in the business circles. I knew nothing about Ian. I didn't know about his podcast show, but I went to iTunes, and in the new and noteworthy section was Ian's podcast show, the Industry Angel Business Podcast. Now, what I always do and what I always suggest that you do is listen to the show. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, you want to make sure that you're a good fit for the show, that you can add some value, some great content. You know, this has to be a two-way street. So you've got to be right for the show. But you also want to be selective of who you're going to be interviewed on as well. So you want to make sure that this is the kind of show that you want to be on as well. So I listened to some episodes of Ian's show, and firstly, when I heard the Geordie accent, I was in heaven. Because obviously to know that, you know, I've been interviewed on so many podcast shows, and predominantly from the US. I've been on Australia, the US, all over the globe. But to hear that Geordie accent, I was like, yes, here we go. And, you know, also because Ian's show was in the new and noteworthy, I knew this was a highly sought after show, and also had my relevant potential target market listening to them. So it was a win-win-win. So I sat down and I pitched cold to Ian. So I found out his details, and I believe I went to your website in order to find your details, which I linked to from your podcast show on iTunes. And I pitched cold, but there was a couple of things that I did, and I always recommend. The thing is with podcast hosts, you know, they're business owners and entrepreneurs like us. So this needs to be a more conversational pitch. This needs to be not so formal that you might pitch to like a TV or newspaper reporter. So I linked to the fact, and I said parts of the show that I'd listened to, why I felt that we was a good mix, and what I could bring to to the show and how I could educate and entertain Ian's audience. So it wasn't about me, it was all about what I could do for Ian. And did that work for you, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I would get, 10, 15, 20 upwards a week. And to be honest, I don't respond to 99% of them because they're just way all over us. We do this, we do that, we do the other, and there's nothing about us in there. So yeah, I just don't respond. But yours was super strategic. And like you say, the very fact you'd listened and made it was a fit and then sent some information back that you had listened, I knew you'd put the effort in. So then, therefore we spoke. But it's that scattergun approach. We don't like that in business at all, and we don't like it in PR either.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, isn't it? This is the number one biggest mistake that business owners make when they try to pitch any form of media, is that they try to say I'm this, and it's all about us. It's all about what I've done and my credibilities. And yes, that's good to include as maybe in the bio section. But this is about what you can bring to the table. How can you educate? How can you inform? How can you entertain the audience? How are you relevant? And what can you bring to the table? That's what's so crucial to do.
It certainly is. If you've got 5 minutes, I want
right. So I'm on to the
keep
third.
Going. Get in there. You've got 5 minutes to get this one in.
Great. So this is the one that's a little bit left field at the moment. This is the new kid on the block, and it is Clubhouse. Now, I don't know if many people know about Clubhouse. I'll give a very quick synopsis of what Clubhouse is. It's an audio-only social media app that is only at this time, it's in beta, so it's only at this time for iPhone users. It was launched back in April 2020, and it's a platform that has really excelled very quickly. There's around about 10 million users at the moment, and it went into being very well known when Elon Musk actually came onto the platform and did a talk back in January of this year. So there's celebrities on there, there's big influencers on there, and what I love about it is that you can go into the rooms, you can follow people, and you can get past the gatekeepers that would normally be there. You can put your hand up, and obviously if the room is really busy, you're not always going to get your question asked, but you have the opportunity of connecting with people and really, pushing yourself out there. So it's a great way of raising your profile and building your credibility. It's a way of the networking. And remember that there are actual journalists. The idea wouldn't be to pitch journalists on Clubhouse, but it's to build relationships. And that's what we're looking to do in the media, is build relationships, and also building relationships also with your market, your target market, your potential customers. So this is an ideal way of doing this. So I'm very into Clubhouse at the moment. In fact, I'm part of a International Women's Day 36-hour marathon, which I'm on at 2:00 today. It's speakers from all over the world. I'm doing an hour slot on there today because I'm very pro Clubhouse about building relationships, connecting with people, raising your profile. And, like with networking, it's not necessarily pitching or meeting up with journalists, but it's the people that you connect with. They know. My very first TV appearance came about because of a networking meeting of somebody who introduced me to a journalist, and the next thing on, I knew I was on TV. So don't rule out Clubhouse is what I'm going to say.
I love those moments when you meet people and it just goes off. It's like a sliding door moment. They're really good. It's interesting, Clubhouse. I've been listening on Twitter Spaces as well, where people have little rooms on Twitter audio. That's been working quite well as well. But Clubhouse is a funny one. I don't know, what do you do, Sharon? Do you just listen? Do you just literally hold it, listen?
Well, no, you can listen. You can go in and you can listen to anybody, but you can also, so like I've hosted a number of rooms on Clubhouse, and obviously mine is usually publicity based, or it could be mindset based. And then you speak to people on your followers, and you bring them in. They follow you. My handle on Clubhouse is @Sharon Bolt, so people will come and they will follow me. I can ping them into the room to let them know I'm speaking. And then, you know, people have an opportunity to raise their hand and ask their questions, and you're brought up to the virtual stage. So yes, you can be a listener, you can be a speaker, and you can be a moderator and run your own room. It's all available for everybody.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I hope you've inspired people to check out Clubhouse then. And as our Victoria says there, you know, you get invites, don't you? You can invite people. So
Yes.
I've been on there a little while now and just hang out and listen. I haven't really been speaking, although I do have I am going to host a room shortly, but just listening, really. I think that's the first thing, is just to open it, have a listen, isn't it? Just play with it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, it can be where, you know, you can spend hours on there because it's, you know, it's really, really popular. And like, you know, always just do some research on it. You know, there's plenty of videos on YouTube and that. It's not difficult, but you do need to practice, and you do need to know the, you know, the housekeeping rules of it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Well, Sharon, it's been lovely to see you. Like 50 minutes just goes like that, look.
It does.
Is there any way you can point us at? Can we download anything? Any little tips, or can I push people to your website? Yeah,
absolutely. If people go to my website, which is getfreepublicitytoday.com, there's plenty of freebies on there. There's a masterclass that you can sign up for. There's some low cost products to get you up and running, or there's my 8-week boot camp program. And I've just launched this whole new program about where I'm actually going to do publicity for a very select group of people.
Good stuff. Well, Sharon, enjoy your 2 o'clock, is it? This afternoon?
Yeah, I'm on it.
You're on International Women's Day?
2 till 3 International Women's Day. Speakers from all over the world were handing over to the next people. It started off in Australia and it's coming over to the UK, and I'm going to be on it at 2 o'clock.
Fantastic stuff. Have you got an answer if I say, what does Choose to Challenge mean to you?
Well, it's really about, I mean, I love that it's about men and women for me. Mm-hmm. It's about really encouraging men to speak up for women. You know, they've all got mothers, sisters, girlfriends, daughters. And if it's not fair for somebody else, that you wouldn't like that to happen to one of your friends or siblings or family members to speak up, but also for women to support other women too. You know, when you dare to stand out and be different, when you start getting media attention, you also get some haters and some nasty comments. And the most nastiest comments that I've ever received is from women. So I would really like to include that about women supporting women and their achievements and also their wins as well.
Fantastic stuff. Well, thanks so much, Sharon. Thanks for leaving us on that. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Ian. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Cheers. Right then. So, in terms of Clubhouse, these next 2 women who are going to join us would make a fantastic Clubhouse meeting room. Now, this is the time where I stamp it with explicit lyrics, because there's going to be F-bombs dropped with these 2. I'm going to go off and have a cup of coffee, right? I'm not even going to watch this because I'm scared, because I'm passing over for the first time industry angel to some co-hosts. And when I say some fantastic co-hosts, let me give a little intro. Sharon formed Miss Menopause 3 years ago as a response to the lack of information about menopause in the workplace. Tina spends most of her time working to ensure the well-being of the smallest businesses and their owners is as good as it could be. Now, these 2, I'm scared. Now, I'm scared for one reason. Tina disappeared. Right, she was in the green room a second ago, but now she's gone. So I'm just going to bring Sharon in.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Oh, I've got to live up to that now.
I'm scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
And here's our next person waving up. She's disappeared again.
Makeup. I was in makeup, Ian.
Just get the hair done.
Look, I realised I had no mascara on, but that's one of the problems, isn't it, Sharon? When you're menopausal, you forget.
doing, Tina?
Ian, why are you worried? We'll be fine.
Will be no bother.
I've got
Right
my
then.
woosah water. My woosah.
Well, I've got.
Gin?
I'm not going to tell. I was going to say I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Right.
So it's
Well,
10
listen.
o'clock somewhere.
Used to.
You go and
You've
have a
got
coffee, Ian. Leave it with us, love.
how to trash a career in 25 minutes.
Absolutely not.
You know, I specialise in the well-being of micro business owners. I wouldn't ruin yours.
I love you. Have fun.
Love you too. Bye.
Oh, gosh,
Ooh.
how exciting.
I know we're in charge. How it is. It's terrifying.
We are, aren't we? Look, I've dressed all in red. And you're
Oh.
matching your wallpaper.
I know. Well, there you go. So, what do you want to know about menopause, Tina? What we're going to share?
Well, so should we give a little background? My name's Tina Boden, as Ian's already said, and I work day in, day out, ensuring the well-being of a micro business, and a micro business owner is as good as it can be. And today, this very day, International Women's Day, I have launched Your Business and You, my new website, which is a magazine-style website, which has articles from professional writers, regular writers, and wannabe writers. And we met through LinkedIn, didn't we, Sharon?
We did. We met virtually.
We did. And only less than a month ago when I look, but I feel like I've known you for a lifetime.
That's what everyone says.
And actually, you helped me, our chat helped me as a menopausal woman to refocus, to make myself realise. And we were introduced to each other by Ian, so it seemed very appropriate that we're here today to trash his career and to and to record this session.
Yeah.
Well, I've dressed all in red. I warn you, if I have a hot flush, I'll look like a stick of dynamite and at any moment could explode like one as well. So there we go.
Brilliant.
One of the things that I was really concerned about. So I'll give you everybody else a bit of background, though you got mine. And one of the reasons that I want to talk to you today and talk about this today is because I don't believe that even as women, we are open and honest enough about menopause. Do you?
Well, I think, Tina, I'm not sure it's that we're even open and honest. I think most of us don't even know what's happening to our minds and our bodies. We haven't got a clue because nobody's given us the girl chat. Because all I've ever heard about is hot flushes, isn't it? And that's if you're lucky. So you think, you know, my grandma used to say, I used to hear her talking in like little corners about her friends, and she used to go, ooh, Betty, she's going through the change. And I don't know about you, but I used to be terrified. What on earth were all her friends going to change into? I literally had no idea. So it was like this mysterious thing that said you're going to go through the change. And of course, I now know that's menopause. But I don't know about you. I had the girl chat at school about, you know, starting my periods. And I was taken into a classroom about age 10 or 11. In my school, the boys wouldn't have known about the girl chat because they were out playing football. They were doing lovely things. I was herded into a classroom. And for those who are old enough, I was shown something called a Dr. White's belt. Now, if you don't know what that is, look it up. It was a terrifying contraption. But at least I was told, Sharon, you will bleed every month. I was like, will I? Probably for 30 years or so. And I was like, really? But and I suppose the biggest stress point I had at age 10 or 11 was, what was I going to wear to the school disco? And was I going to get my French homework done on time? So my point is, nobody's told us as grown adult women about the life event known as menopause. So we're being encouraged, you know, here on International Women's Day, gender pay gap, you know, gender diversity, gender balance, you know, all of these things. We want more opportunities for men and women. And yet nobody's told us about this life event called menopause, which comes along and bites us on the arse roughly for most women from about 45 and above. So I truly think, Tina, most women don't even know about it. And the heartbreaking thing for me, there's many, but one of them is women contact me on a daily basis saying, Sharon, I feel so alone. And I'm like, shit, man, you're in the 100% club. You couldn't be in a least exclusive club. Yet how do women not know that? They just, because no one's told us.
You see, I consider myself quite an informed woman. And especially when it comes to things that affect me, things that affect my person. I understand myself. I know that I need to eat. I've already tweeted this morning that I forgot to eat breakfast because I was busy launching my website, and I did warn you and Ian that I would well be hangry if I didn't. I know not about that. So I feel I'm adjusted. And as I was, when we first spoke, I was telling you I have 2 sons, and I've always been honest and open with them about my hormone imbalance. I mean, my husband discusses it with them, you know, oh my God, don't ask mother that question. But I don't even think that I've accepted being perimenopausal. I don't even think I knew enough about that build-up. It's like, as you say, where is this conversation? And actually, as a micro business owner, we have to go through so much as well. So just to clarify, micro business is one that employs 0 to 9, so that you could have no employees, freelancer, sole trader, whatever, or you could have up to 9 employees and turnover less than 2 million per annum. 2 million in a lifetime would be great. But anyway, but so my concern was the actual impact of hormone imbalance on running our businesses. Now, I coached a CEO of a charity about 5 or 6 years ago, and she said to me in our very first meeting, Tina, I don't want any coaching in 1 week of the month. I don't want to have any strategic discussions. I don't want to have this, I don't want to have that, I won't have any board meetings. She had a whole list of things she wouldn't do for 1 week of the month.
Yeah.
So I asked her why. I knew why, but I asked her why, and she said, because I know that I can't function properly in that week of the month.
Yeah.
Now, I realised that leading up to November, when, because of a health scare in July, they decided that they were going to remove my ovaries. Well, first it was my left ovary, and then just as I'm going down to theatre, Louise, the lovely gynaecologist, said to me, Tina, why are we keeping your right ovary in your tubes? And I said, I don't know, you're the gynaecologist, you tell me. So I came, well, bam, wham, bam, head forced into surgically enforced menopause. Here you come. As if it's not bad enough that you can do fuck all. There you go, Ian. While you recover from the operation. But actually, what you're doing is going through this whole mind-changing, life-changing, everything. And I'm thinking, it can't happen that fast.
But Tina, and that's the thing. When you go through surgical or chemical menopause, so that's because at the moment in the 21st century, sadly, routine operations such as part and full hysterectomies are pretty standard routine operations these days, as are sadly cancer treatments. And so what that means is women the next day after those procedures, the next day, like you described, can literally be plunged into a menopausal state. So, you know, I met a woman once who said she was going in for a full hysterectomy, and she'd said to her consultant, what will happen about the menopause? And his response was, oh, don't worry, it'll be a couple of hot sweats and you'll be done. This woman was literally on her knees, Tina, she was just overwhelmed with symptoms because this was a response from a top surgeon. And, I'm not here to doctor bash because there's some brilliant, GPs and doctors and surgeons, and where would we be without the NHS this last 12 months? But when it comes to the subject of menopause, millions of us are being let down with either the wrong information, no information. So that's why I set up Miss Menopause, because I'm on a mission to make menopause in the workplace business as usual. Whether you're a micro business or a multinational business, what I say is 50% of the population, so 100% of 50% of the world will go through the life event known as menopause. And so when we're talking about mental health, well-being, and lots of people, people are talking about that, quite rightly so. And certainly in the last 12 months, we need to be, it's really brought that to the fore. And I say menopause, and people look at me like I've got two heads. Like, what are you talking? And I'm saying, look, I hope and I wish that the smallest percentage of people will suffer from, let's call it mental ill health. Let's hope the smallest percentage of people suffer from mental ill health. Yet, if I've got a spare $1 million knocking about, I can't go, right, I'm going to opt out that menopause thing. There's no amount of money can stop it. So whether you like it or not, if you are born with reproducing organs, your body will take you through the life event known as menopause. tough shit, whether you like it or not. And so it's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, so we started with COVID last March. I have a portfolio of businesses. One of them looks after B&Bs for people when they go on holiday. So I realised that some of the impact, I've been knackered, I've been worn out, I've been, my skin's been going grey. Some of that has been, I've had all sorts of symptoms. I had postmenstrual stress, menstrual stress. See, I can't even remember my words. And before my operation last July, I had a health scare. I got rushed into hospital. They tested me for cancer. I had 2 weeks of waiting with that. Within 2 weeks, I was in front of a gynecologist, amazing gynecologist, Louise Hayes, at Scarborough Hospital. And she was like, right, you haven't got cancer, but this is what we need to do. I'm like, I'm self-employed, for God's sake. I can't do that. I haven't earned any money since God knows. I need to
I can't afford the time off. It's just me health.
It's only my health. You're all right. You've told me I'm not to forget anything else. The fact it was messing with my head and was going to continue messing with my head. So I went off. I did what I needed to do. I said, I can come in after the 2nd of November. Like I was I had some choice. This was the NHS providing me this amazing service, but I was like acting like I wanted to book it on a certain day. Anyway, absolutely fabulous. They were brilliant, and I had my operation on the 26th of November. I was supposed to be a day case.
Right.
I mean, I am a head case, don't get me wrong. I was supposed to be a day case. Anyway, I'm absolutely rubbish with morphine, and ended up having to be kept overnight. Didn't sleep a wink, was put in the surgical ward with all sorts, petrified about COVID. I was. And all of that stuff that was going on. Couldn't sleep. So there I am on my iPhone with my glasses on, having to request a charger from a nurse. And I thought, you know what? The last thing that Louise Hayes said to me was, and then you'll go straight into menopause. And I thought, I haven't got a clue what this is.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
On all these websites in the middle of the night, in this ward with my night lights on over my bed, sending all the links to my husband who was at home.
And said, I can't wait for this.
Read this. In the morning, he sent me a message, Sharon. He did not say, morning team, how are you? Are you okay? He said, menopause sounds fun, and sent me an array of emoji faces to express how he was obviously feeling. Well,
this is why I do what I do, Tina, because I say everybody needs to know about the menopause. So it might be physically and mentally occurring to me and my body and you and your body, but we're kind of insidious, aren't we? Us women, we're everywhere. So when it comes to the workplace, so whether you're a micro business, a sole trader, a lone businesswoman, the menopause, exactly to your point, you can't stop it. You can't say, I'll just get off this hamster wheel and I won't go through that menopause thing because I haven't got time. Whether you like it or not, your body will take you through menopause. And what I need to say to the listeners out there is menopause can last, and this is on average, okay? On average, symptoms can last 5 to 7 years on average. On average, 10 years isn't uncommon. So what I say to women is you cannot afford to allow yourself to become a victim. I'm choosing my words carefully. Do not allow yourself to become a victim of the menopause. It's really, really important that you learn about this life event that, remember, it's going to happen to 100% of reproducing women. So my point is 100% of women won't become mothers. Now, I knew at the age of 14 when my nana said to me, Sharon, who'll look after you when you're old? Because that was something around, well, was I going to have children? And I went, oh, Nana, I'll be dead when I'm old. Because when I looked at me, Nana, I thought, oh, she doesn't look like long for this world. The sad truth of it is she was probably younger than I am now, which is the shocking thing. And so I knew at the age of about 14, I didn't fancy being a mother. And here I am at 53 this year, postmenopausal. So that's me done with periods. And so my point is 100% of women won't be mothers. But when my body started to take me through the menopause, somebody dared to say to me, Tina, Sharon, do you not think it could be menopause? Honestly, I nearly savaged them. I was like, how dare you? Because in my mind's eye, menopause happens to old women who were nothing like me, looked nothing like me. Like I say, I used to be, I used to work in a FTSE 100 company. I used to be accountable for millions of pounds worth of revenue at any one time. I thought I knew a lot of things about a lot of things. I thought I was streetwise. Yet, how did I not know about this menopause thing and the raft of weird and wacky symptoms that can occur, all because your hormones, and let's remember, they're going south, they're only going one way, they're not coming back. And the shocking statistic is some women, by the time they get to postmenopause, when your periods stop, can have as little as 1% of those hormones left. They're not coming back unless you elect for hormone replacement therapy, which a lot of women are frightened of, which that's another topic for another day.
Oh, no, I'm going to come to that in a minute.
Okay. Oh, well, bring it on. But yeah, HRT. Well, I'm on HRT now. And the reason being is that the menopause nearly killed me because I could get to sleep, but my most untenable symptom was I couldn't remain asleep. And I was driving, I was working the Teesside at the time. I live in sunny Whitley Bay. And I was driving to Teesside and I had that momentary feeling of, you know, the noddy head when you used to get the bus and you would nod, yes, I nodded. Thank goodness I didn't swerve, I didn't crash, but I was terrified. So it got to a point where I could only drive for a maximum of half an hour before I had to pull over and have a nana nap. And I thought, you know what, shit, man, the menopause is going to kill us. So I thought, I can't, that's ridiculous. So I ended up searching out, you know, I've been through lots and lots of things. And HRT for me, within 2 weeks, solved all my symptoms from night sweats, day sweats, memory loss, not being able to sleep, all of those things. Not being able, I thought my bladder had shrunk to the size of a pea because I couldn't go through the night before I went on HRT without having to get up 2 or 3 times for a wee. And I thought, this is my life now. I just can't sleep through the night. Honestly, those hormones.
I need to pee. It's just, honestly. So, to add to all of this, we talk about HRT.
Well, anyway, so, HRT meant I didn't have to pee. I could go through the night without needing a wee. It's a miracle.
Well, honestly, I'm with you on that one. Because I wasn't getting up as many times as you, although I would have probably been grateful because one thing I was concerned about was my lack of motivation and being able to get off my backside to do anything. So I suppose if I'd have got up 2 or 3 times in the night, that'd have got me steps up. But
it does.
I know. So but yes, I can go longer now. Don't have to get up the same in the night. But the one thing I thought after all of this and me, you know, sending the links to my husband, laying around for 2 weeks, which I don't do very well about anyway, because I'm such an active person. But the thing that concerned me was it was just, I didn't want HRT. End of.
And did you know why you didn't want it?
Because I'd read all these articles and that was about the only thing that I had done anything towards menopause. I was still having periods. I'm 53. I know you and I are the same age, Sharon. Yeah. I'm slightly older than you. But we're still in the same year.
68 babies.
We are. But I'm 53. I was still having periods. So they hadn't even shown signs of particularly go into alternate months or anything. So I hadn't even really started that sort of lead up to the menopause. And, but I wanted to do all this naturally. I didn't want to do it. So I went to a lady that I know well. I had some massage and some Reiki and it was okay, made me feel a bit better, but didn't really do a great thing. I went to see another lady I know who's a bark therapist, as in Dr. Bark, Rescue Remedy.
I thought you mentioned made you bark like a dog. I was going to say I'd like to try that.
Well, I was barking like a dog before you at my husband, barking like mad I was. And growling and carrying on.
I was going to say I could do with some of that. Maybe that's a job opportunity for someone out there.
Water calms me out. Anyway, all these drops in there. Tried to do that. Took some tablets that I'd researched and read online. Have they made me sleep? I can't decide. The only way I will know. But then what had happened the week after my op, I had dissolvable stitches and they weren't dissolving. So I'd rung the doctors and I got, because of course you can't go to the doctors without having to have an interrogation on the phone now, can you, at the minute? So I'd rung the doctors and I got a call back from the practice nurse who was amazing and had just had the same op as me in the summer. And she said, Tina, you need HRT. You need all of it. You know, you can do it, but you need the HRT. So I said to her, oh, no, I don't think so. She said, I'm going to write to Louise Hayes and I'm going to ask her what she thinks. And she prescribed me HRT patches.
Mm-hmm.
So I left them in my drawer until 3 weeks ago, where it was a case of either get that HRT patch out, stick it on your ass, or call the solicitor and ask for a good divorce lawyer.
Yeah.
Because my poor husband, what he had to go through, what my kids went through, it was horrendous. And what I was putting myself through, I didn't like myself. I couldn't stop looking at myself. My skin had gone grayer than my hair. There was all of this stuff going on. It was horrendous. And trying to motivate myself to be a motivational speaker to others and a mentor and, for God's sake. So I'm using HRT like you, Sharon. It changed me within a fortnight. I rang the doctor.
I don't know about you, but no one's having mine back anytime soon. I'm the same. I stick a patch on my arse twice a week and it's changed my life.
Well, let me tell you, I rang the doctors last Friday because I knew I only had half a month left and they'd only prescribed me one. And I said to the receptionist, I can't log on online, there's a fault, and can I order some more HRT patches? So she said, Tina, you haven't had any since the 15th of December. I said, yeah, because I thought I was cleverer than the doctors and I decided not to use them. But now I know I need them. So from one woman to another, can you press that button and can you urgently order me some to be sent to the chemist so that I have them when this last patch in this packet gets torn off my arse? And she started laughing. She went, I'm hearing you loud and clear. I'm on with it straight away.
Well, this is the thing. There's too much ignorance. And what I say to women is, it's your body, your choice. You can choose to put what you want in it, on it, around it. It's absolutely up to you. But please, please, please get the facts, not fiction, not what your Auntie Betty told you or what you think you've heard. Get the facts, then make an informed decision. I'll say, if you want to swing crystals off your nipples and it works for you, no one gives a shit. It's your body, your choice. But surely what you can't afford to do, and the person you owe it to most of all, is yourself. Because if the menopause is going to last on average 5 to 7 years, with 10 years being not uncommon, are you prepared to put your life on hold for all of that time? So the key question I want you to ask yourself, as and when the time comes, is menopause affecting the quality of my life? Yes or no? And if it is, you need to get out your slippers and sort something out. And it might be 1 or 2 or 3 different types of things you might do all at the same time. So I started my journey with sage leaf tablets, where the only thing that happened to me, Tina, is I could taste sage and onion stuffing every day. It was making us feel sick. I was like, ugh. So that didn't work. It was vile. Loads of people were raving about them. And that's what makes it really difficult as well, Mantina, because what you and I say works for us may not work for some of our listeners. So we get really despondent quite quickly. And so what I'm saying to the listeners out there, it might take you 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 attempts, iterations of trying different things before you find the thing that's going to work best for you and your body. But please, please, please don't give up. Don't give up. You owe it to yourself. You're never going to get the time back. It's not coming back. You can't buy it. So don't waste a day, an hour, a second thinking, oh my goodness, the menopause is impacting the quality of my life. And like you, I would have sticky nana naps. I couldn't be arsed some days to get out of bed. And when I did get out of bed, I would want to go back to bed with it at 1 o'clock. So what I used to do sometimes was I'd set me alarm. So when my lad, him and Dawes, came back through work, I was all bright and breezy because I'd spent 3 hours on the settee because I couldn't function without having this. It wasn't tiredness, Tina. It was exhaustion.
Fatigue is absolutely a different thing. Yeah. And this is my advice to micro business owners. And you and I, Sharon, I've just set up a new YouTube channel, and I think we might be okay. I think Ian might have us back. I don't think it's too bad. But I think you and I need to continue this conversation. But my advice to micro business owners, I have one piece of advice before they move to the next stage, and that is accept, whatever age you are as a female founder or business owner, that your hormones and menopause have an impact on your decision making. Accept it, don't try and fight it, and talk about it. whether you are in a corporate organization or you're a freelancer on your own or somewhere in between, talk about it, discuss it with others. Sharon and I are at the end of a tweet. Discuss it with us, because we need to start this conversation and start talking about it. My husband has he has now, trust me, he had no clue whatsoever about the impact that menopause wasn't going to have only on me, but on our relationship. And I really love my husband. So it's really got to me that I've been such a cow to him and behaved in such a way.
Yeah, and it was the same in my house. I would get him indoors going, "Yo, hot flushes are keeping me up all night," and I was like, "But they're not my hot flushes. I didn't ask for them either. I didn't go wake up one day and say, yes, keep me awake all night, body of mine." Nobody's asking for this shit. It's just what's happening. So you're absolutely right, Tina. We've just got to talk about it. I don't want any other woman coming to me saying, "Sharon, I felt so alone." I'm like, you're in the 100% club. Let's leave with that statistic. 100% of reproducing women, whether you like it or not, you're going to go through the menopause. So you need to get busy and sort it out if it's impacting the quality of your life. End of.
And talk about it.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, Ian, can we come back? Are we allowed?
You know, it is. You two, right? This is such an important topic, and I'm so glad you've raised it, especially for guys, you know, from leaders who probably don't get any of this. So it's really important that men hear this, right?
Absolutely.
You two, you need your own show, because you're educating, but in a really fun and engaging way. And I love that. You've been absolutely fantastic. And the comments and the amount of people watching and the amount of people that will be sharing this for other people to hear is so important. So well done. I'm so glad you had this idea to come on.
Thank you, Louise.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
And Sharon's still speaking to me after I came up with the idea and pitched it to you. So I do think we need to talk about this so much more, and we need to keep this conversation going. And whether you host it or where we put this, whether it's on my More Marmite than Magnolia channel, which is all thanks to Sharon, because I realised actually sometimes we've got to talk out about this.
Totally.
It looks like you two have actually just stole the whole show. You're all coming back. You make me look terrible.
Don't be stupid.
We didn't. Well, I said the F word once. I'm sorry.
You did drop a few. It was good across that. I loved it. You made me chuckle as I was going for my coffee. I was watching on my phone.
Well, who doesn't swear in real life? Who doesn't swear in real life? That's what I say. We're just keeping it real.
Before you go, though, I'm going to ask you about the hashtag for this year's International Women's Day, which is Choose to Challenge. What does that mean to you?
Well, it means to me. Well, I want to say about that is seek to understand others first, then be understood. So I think, and that to me applies to everything, not just menopause. It applies for when you hear something maybe you don't like or you don't get. Ask more questions, find out, and you might be surprised what you learn. So that's it for me, and that just goes for any subject matter. So anything that I'm terrified of these days, I go towards it, not away from it, because I need to learn more things.
Tina?
And mine is choose to challenge the status quo, because actually, as you well know, Ian, with what I've done with Tony around micro business and standing up for micro business owners, it is so important that we put our head above the parapet and say what we believe in. And I've actually just written an article that's coming out tomorrow called More Marmite than Magnolia for my new website, Your Business and You. Plugs. But actually it sets out why it's okay to be different as long as you follow a few criteria in doing it and you remember to be kind. But challenge the status quo. Do not be afraid to talk about things, ask questions, and be informed, as Sharon says.
Yeah, and I just want to add, when you're being kind, make sure you're being kind to yourself first, please. Just saying.
Wonderful. Lovely place to leave it. Thank you so much once again. Please stay and watch from afar and comment. You know, in terms of plugs, Tina, plug away, put it in the comments so you can help other women, because this is just a fantastic bit of content and message that you're sharing. So, get it in there, okay? Plug away.
And if anyone thinks they need Miss Menopause, then you find me on LinkedIn or missmenopause.co.uk. Just saying.
I'm going back to finish me mascara now.
Okay.
All right, I'll put my other eye on.
All right then.
You get sorted. Right, you
All right,
out.
bye.
Right, you out. Wow. How fun was that? I love those two. Absolutely love them. I'm so excited for this next interview. This is with Juliette Brown. Jules is from a finance background. She's the proud creator of Design Express, a large format print business of 25 years, based here in the Northeast. Welcome to International Women's Day. Juliette.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
A bit nervous.
Oh, I tell you
here.
what,
I've turned up.
You've pulled out all the stops. It's like the Premiership football. What's that behind you?
Oh, yeah. Your face
Look
and my
at
new
that.
logo. Yeah.
Wow. I'm loving it. And, could you not have sent me one of those?
I know,
tell you what,
it was very last minute.
I tell you what, I did see you posted on LinkedIn. Your colleagues were giving you a test online with your webcam and all your audio equipment.
Yes.
And what did they do, Jules? Tell us what they did.
Well, they made some, while I was at home working from home, when the cat's away and all that, they made some masks of your good looking face and put them on just to try and create the moment so that I'd kind of get used to what I was going to see today and make me feel at home and things. So they didn't tell me they were doing it, so I just switched on my webcam and came into the call, and there were two Ian Farrars looking at me, which
and then they put it on
funny.
LinkedIn for everyone to see. Yeah,
exactly.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Have you been watching the
Yes,
other,
I mean, the last two, Sharon and Tina, they were just so funny. And as well, I'm a 1968 baby, so I'm with them there with the whole menopause HRT experience, mine being almost identical to Tina's. Fought against HRT, didn't want to take it, but I had to in the end, and it was the best thing I did, because it does affect you, and it really did me, and it affected my ability to work. It affected how I was at home. I wasn't sleeping. I had terrible flushes. So I think for me, seeing those two talking that out, that resonated with me rather a lot. So yeah. And the fact that they did it in such an amusing way was great.
100%. And it's really important, Jules, and thanks for sharing that. It's really important for men to hear that as well, because, you're saying there it might have impacted on work. Now, people might be saying like, what's the matter with Jules? What you shouldn't see myself and that sort of stuff. And maybe it's one of those things that I know Sharon really, really pushes. It's education. It's giving it a voice. It's not taboo. It should be spoken about. So, yeah, thanks so much. You are feeling the love today. Look at all this. So these must be our Northeast heroes who know and love Design Express. I want you to tell us all about the business. I mentioned this to Dinah. I don't know if you watched Dinah's.
I did, yes, yeah.
And I name dropped you, Jules, because Dinah works across the world with some fantastic women, entrepreneurs, and I think what I said was that, and as did Dinah, we hear the same names all the time that are getting pushed, and it's people like you, Jules, who don't stand above the parapet too much and shout how great you are, very humble in what you do, but this platform is to celebrate and shout about women who don't necessarily do this kind of thing. So I know you were kind of nervous and a bit like you've never done this before. But you need to tell people and share your journey, because it's been such a marvelous one. And I'm dead proud of you. I'm absolutely so proud of you and the team. Because when we first met, I was just like, why does no one know or hear about these businesses? And we hear the same old businesses all the time. So I want you to wind us back 25 years, Jules. I think I said in your intro you were from a finance background. Why didn't you start? Tell me where it all started.
Well, it all started when I relocated to the Northeast in my late 20s. I'd worked for my father in a butchery business. He had 60 retail butcher shops throughout the Midlands, and I worked in his finance office. I was an accounting technician by qualification, but prior to that, I'd actually gone to art college, and what I really loved was design and stuff like that. So kind of what I did when I was working with my dad alongside my job in accounts was I developed all the marketing within the shop, so price ticketing, posters, that sort of thing, using a little desktop package called CorelDRAW. So that's kind of what gave me the idea, because I then moved to the Northeast, failed to get a job in accountancy, which is where I thought I would end up. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do? I need to do something. So I sort of mimicked what I'd done for my dad's business, and created Design Express, which it was never intended to be quite the animal it is now. I meant for it initially to be a very small business, a micro business. I just started on my own and then took on a couple of people early doors. And we were literally just making price ticketing and posters for the butchery industry. I'd never owned a colour printer in my life, knew nothing about it. But I did a pretty good business plan because I could do that sort of stuff. Went to the bank. They match funded the money that I did have, what savings I had, and Design Express was born above a tattoo studio in Stanley. So that was it.
Did you swap some services with a tattoo studio?
No. I'd actually had a tattoo very young in life and had that removed, so I didn't fancy going through that again. So that was it. It was, in the early days, we were literally doing lots of work for fruit and veg and butchers. And I remember sat around the desk, hand cutting out pineapples and oranges and, sending them out in the post to the clients. And it was so Heath Robinson, really, compared to the technology we have now. I can't believe that the journey and that we've gone from that to a 1.2 million potential business pre-COVID. It's been a journey, to say the least.
What was it? Design Express? Did you rename, or was it always Design Express 25 years ago?
Always Design Express, and it was my mum who came up with the name. So God love her. Thanks, Mum.
It was interesting what you said there, and I think a lot of businesses have this quandary, Jules, of beginning a business which is a micro business, and I'm not sure whether it's a mindset thing to think I can't manage the animal. Okay, and you think, actually, I'm just going to keep it small for now. And when was that point, Jules, where it kind of overtook what you thought it was going to be, and you had to take people on and maybe
I think we were kind of forced to change. So the growth bit happened quite early on, because even in the early days when I was doing more the point of sale for butchery, we ended up doing a lot of work with the independent businesses with inside Quick Save supermarkets. My father's business has actually worked with Quick Save, and that's how I knew a lot of people in that sector. So initially they were my customers, these independent people, and I actually grew the business from zero to around about £1 million turnover in the first 6 years. But what happened then was Summerfield took over Quick Save, and overnight I've virtually lost the main core of my business. It was like, it was a rug being pulled from under my feet. So I had to diversify. And in doing that, I had already got a few direct clients. I was dealing with Thornton's, I was dealing with the Co-op, I was dealing with a retail phone company called The Phone House. And so I kind of, through a mentor who I did some work with on leadership and management, I came to start making calls and trying to sort of engage with other perhaps outlets for work, and came across print management. So the business kind of grew and grew and grew, then completely collapsed almost, and then, if you like, started again and started to become the business it is now, which primarily our customers are print management, but we've got a lot of our own clients as well, and we work with all sectors now.
Let me just touch upon something that you said so quick, which I imagine wasn't quick. It was the rug pulling, right? You grew the company, the rug was pulled, and that must have been quite worrying for the bit. How did that feel? Yeah, right, okay.
I thought we were going to lose it. I won't lie. I actually told all my staff at the time to start looking for jobs.
Okay.
One person did leave very quickly as soon as I kind of said that I didn't think we were going to make it. But that was also the time then that we employed Carl. So obviously somebody left and there was an opportunity, and that's when Carl joined the company, and he's kind of helped me get to where I am now. I haven't done this by myself. In fact, all the staff have been integral to the journey. And I couldn't do it without them all, because it has been a roller coaster. The business has changed, evolved. You know, some businesses seem to sort of start small and steadily grow, and it's just an upward curve. With mine, it's literally been like that, up and down. And this year, same again, another down, and that's COVID related. So yeah, it's been a journey, and you know, I feel like I'm in a game of snakes and ladders a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you won't be alone in that. You know, lots of listeners will be the same. And I the amount of times I've drew this little spiral and then a straight line and then in more spirals, the amount of times I've drew that on clients' whiteboards, you know, I wish I had £1 for each time I've done it. But it's those little spirals and those little journeys where we really learn from, though.
Yeah.
We grow as leaders, we grow as people. The business can then pivot a little bit and, you know, and be quite diverse in the offerings. So, you know, across those little spirals, have you diversed the business? Have you ever hit, right, we're going to do this now?
Yeah, very much so. So in the early days, obviously, after the loss of QuickSave, we diversified and went into sort of more commercial print. So we had to grow and evolve then. We had to invest. At a time when we really didn't have the money to invest, we had to invest, because if we hadn't, we would have just got left behind. We didn't really have the right sort of kit to compete at that level for any length of time. So we took risks. I've sold houses, I've lost houses, and you know, we went on quite a journey. But over the time, we've kind of gone from a couple of little printers to now, you know, really, really high tech, big machinery. We only last year we put in 2 new presses, a 3 meter by 2 meter huge Getrix printer with white ink, and a new what's called a Colorado, which is a roll fed machine, that have kind of opened up avenues again, because they've taken us to another platform really. And it won't stop there. We'll continue. We're now launching a new website, as you know. So, you know, you never stop learning. You never stop evolving. And as challenges are thrown at you, which we've had lots of them, you've got to change, adapt. COVID, I mean, is a prime example. When COVID came, we'd just been at the awards for the Northeast Business Awards, and we were there for would you believe, an innovation and growth award, and also a manufacturing award. We didn't win either, but the competition was fantastic. There were some amazing businesses there, but to just take part and be at the event was just fabulous. And all the staff came. It was just an amazing evening. We were all on a high, and then the following week, we kind of heard all this stuff going on in China. I probably had buried my head in the sand a little bit. And then all of a sudden, Boris shut us down, and it was almost like somebody switching off a tap. So yeah, it's been a tough year, but we adapted, we changed, we offered COVID-related products. We tried to help people as much as we could. And we stayed open, and I'm really proud of the fact that we did stay open throughout the whole pandemic, because it's been a very, very difficult year.
You know, again, you said a few things there, and literally you said them in a second, and then just moved along, which was like, I've lost houses. You've been through that real kind of turmoil as a business owner, but then you also said that you'd invested, and I know, and I've been to the facility, and I've seen the investment that you've made. What is that like, Jules, from a personal point of view, when you're the leader? And someone maybe like Carl or the team or whoever, or maybe clients say, I need this kit, I need this bit of kit, and it's going to be X £1,000. What's it like, right, signing the check for that? When you
scary. Yeah, because at the end of the day, the book stops with me, doesn't it? If it fails, and you know, people say, well, it's a limited company, you're limiting your liability, but you're not. In reality, you have to sign personal guarantees. You are putting your own life on the line, really. But if you're passionate about what you do and about your business and your staff and your team, you know, I know that they'll work and do whatever they can to make Design Express better again, after the year we've had now. And that helps me, because I know it's ultimately my risk. But I've got brilliant people around me, personally and at work, who are supporting me and, you know, make it easier for me to deal with those challenges and to deal with the sleepless nights and the worry about the you know, the investment, the level of investment. And there's also lots of business support out there. I mean, we actually got a grant from, as you know, the County Durham Growth Fund. That was for the new kit last year, and that you know, that level of help towards buying such a lot of kit. We invested 200,000, but we got 50,000 back, and that's a massive amount to achieve through a grant application. But having said that, you know, we intend to create jobs as a result of that. That grant was awarded on the back of jobs. Unfortunately, COVID stopped us in our tracks a bit, and you know, we are now not on schedule to where we should be. But you know, we'll get back there, I'm sure.
Obviously, this is International Women's Day, Jules, and I wanted to bring you on because you're a leader, and I think this is fair to say, in a bit of a men's world.
Oh God, right, yes, very much a men's world.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about this. You know, trying to create this gender equal world, and what, you know, what you've experienced and maybe what you promote.
Yeah, I think for me, yes, it's a man's world, and I kind of fell into it by accident. Like I say, I started a little desktop publishing company and ended up with a factory and, you know, a team of staff working in production and all of those things, and that kind of happened along the way. So I didn't just jump into a men's world and think this is what I want to do. But you know, now I'm in that men's world, I don't really feel as if I'm treated any differently, if I'm totally honest. I think for me, in some ways, it's helped me being a woman in large format, especially working with print management, because I think diversity for the big global companies we work with is a massive thing for them. They are striving to improve diversity, and you know, quite often we are, well, pretty much every year by all the print management companies we work with, we are audited, and we have to, you know, fill in forms and tell them all about ourselves. And one of the questions that's always there is, you know, are you female, owner managed? And I know that's a ticky box for them. So I guess me being a woman in that world, it does tick some boxes. Obviously, we'd have to perform and do the job right, otherwise we wouldn't keep the work. But I think it does help in that respect. But one thing with that I will say is, a lot of people, when I come across new people and I say that I've got my own business, I do believe that when they say, oh, you know, kind of what do you do, they're expecting me to say something typically female. So I think a lot of people think that business women generally are in, you know, fashion or hair or beauty or, products or all the lovely things us girls love, shoes, and shoes is one of my passions. And when I kind of say, well, actually I've got a print factory, they're like, what? And it's that element of surprise just shows that the gender gap is there, and people don't expect someone like me to have a print factory. And that for me is what needs to change, because I know loads of women in manufacturing who are bloody good at what they do. So, I think that we have to shout about it, but hence why I'm here today, but normally hide away and don't do these things.
Is there anything that you do, Jules, to do that? Is there anything that you, as a business owner, maybe fellow women who own businesses, do you get together? Is there a platform? Is there a networking event? Is there something that happens?
I kind of shy away a bit from networking events. And again, it's something I really need to not do. I think for me, I have a lot of women in my life, both in business and a huge network of friends and family who are women who are really strong, inspiring people. So on a work level, my bank manager, Tina, is a woman. She's been very supportive, very helpful. UK Steel Enterprise, a lady called Sarah Thorpe, I don't know if you know Sarah, but she backed us when we moved from our last unit into the one we're in now and relocated and needed equipment. Veronica Gibson, who works for Anglo-Scottish, she supported us with the finance and went out and helped us get the finance with the recent investments. Andrea McGuigan, Business Durham, always a great person to go to for help and where to go for assistance with grants and just letting me know what's going on out there. And so she's a great networker, and I kind of jump on the back of that a bit. So I do think women help women really well. I think they empower each other, and that can be really powerful. And I think for me, that's what today is about, really, that we can help each other and that men can help us too, In my business, probably more than 50% of the people working for me are male. My co-director, Carl, pretty much runs the operation side now. I mean, there was a time when I used to run printers and actually get on the shop floor and do that sort of stuff. But I now have stepped away from that a bit, and I sort of am more strategic and finance-led and that kind of thing. Still make some of the big decisions, but pretty much leave the rest of the team because they can do it without me. They're really good. So yeah,
it's interesting. 25 years ago, you must have wore a number of hats, Jules.
Yes.
And then you bring people in and you maybe give them a hat, but sometimes that hat's kind of just sitting ever so slightly on. You know what I mean? Because you have to dabble a little bit.
Yeah.
What's it been like to hand over stuff? They've just mentioned there that Carl looks after the operations and you kind of back away. What was it been like across those years to delegate and then not have
difficult?
To
I think I do find it hard to delegate, and I find it hard to let go. Design Express is my baby, and I want to delegate, but I do struggle with it a little bit. But like I say, I can trust the people that are there, and I shouldn't need to worry about it. It's just for me, I guess a lot of it as well is my comfort zone. Like when I worked on the shop floor, I ran the printers, I did the coral draw package, I did a bit of design, I did a bit of printing and laminating and got my hands dirty and packed parcels and all of that. I think some of that I loved that. I really enjoyed it. I liked it, and it felt comfortable. It was what I knew I could do it. I was comfortable. And trying to grow the business and do sales and marketing, that isn't my comfort zone. Speaking out and doing this isn't my comfort zone. So for me, I've kind of pushed myself into an uncomfortable place. I'm still loving it, but I find it harder to do the job I do now than the job I used to do when the business was smaller. And
really?
Age. I think age has changed me. My confidence is nowhere near what it was. So instead of age making me more confident, it's done the opposite. Menopause, which we've talked about today, has had an effect. And this last year has had an effect. I've really struggled this year personally to keep going and to stay positive. Thankfully, I'm coming out the other end of that now, I think.
Yeah, just echoing what Victoria said there, your honesty is so inspiring. And I think it's so important as well to share that, because I think, that old adage, problem shared's a problem halved sort of thing, but we do need to share this stuff to be aware that it's not just us. And I think that's what Sharon was talking about as well before, where people think, oh, it's just me. It isn't. It's kind of everyone, what she was talking about. And we all have been through this last year. So thinking about that and coming out of it, which you said, what does this year look like, Jules? What's the plan?
Well, hopefully a lot more positive. We're starting to feel a buzz about the office already. You can probably tell that from our social media that's suddenly hyped up. And thanks for your help with and input with everything we've done with you as well. So I think finally I am starting to see light at the end of the tunnel, and I really want to get back to not just where we were pre-COVID, but where we were going. The journey had already been set out. I've been fantastic at forecasting my business. That's one area where I'm strong, and I've always been able to almost predict what we're going to do, and quite often with Carl's help and the team's help, we've exceeded what our intentions were. This year I wasn't anywhere close. This year I couldn't have predicted more wrongly. So the uncertainty of this year has really thrown me. So I'm looking forward to going back to the normal, or as close to the normal as we can get. I know along the way we've lost some stuff. We've lost some great people. We've lost 2 people internally, one who had been with me from virtually day one, and it really broke my heart to have to let her go. And also we've lost contacts, we've lost relationships. As you know, Carl and I do most of the account management, and there's been so many redundancies with people who buy what we do, buy our stuff, and it's those sorts of things that aren't just going to bounce back. They're not just going to come back. But hopefully this year we've proven to me and the team that we can be resilient, we can adapt. We have still got fight in us, and I know that things are starting to feel better. So I'm hoping that that's the start of a year that's going to be a lot more positive. As I say, working back, get where we were really.
What's been the feedback from clients, Jules? Because some of the stuff you do is a lot around kind of people, isn't it? Hospitality and attractions and stuff like that. What's been the feedback that you're hearing? Is stuff ready to go? Is it good to go?
Buzzing, yeah. I mean, Carl's phone and emails just aren't stopping at the moment. He probably account manages 80% of our clients now. I probably only deal with 20, and I was probably dealing with more than 20, but of the ones I am normally dealing with, unfortunately, one of my clients who I've worked with for years and years and years, sadly, they're not going back. They're closing the business, and they are 100% in hospitality. So that breaks my heart. But with the ones that are still going, and there's some really big brands out there, there's some big pub chains, there's themes, attractions, those kind of businesses, they're all starting to really buzz, and we're starting to get inquiries now. The work isn't yet flooding in terms of turnover, but you can see that it's going to come. So I think that's what's making me feel better, and probably why I was able to turn up today.
well, look, you have turned up today, and so many people have enjoyed hearing your story and are rooting for you. And I think it's just so inspiring to hear from people that we don't often hear about. So I'm really excited that you've joined us. Before we go, obviously this is International Women's Day, and the hashtag is Choose to Challenge. So what does that mean to you, Jules?
Well, I think for me, Choose to Challenge means it is about women empowering other women. and having a voice, and, you know, saying what they need to say. I think we can all help each other, and we inspire each other. I think that working together and helping each other, we can get out there that we are capable, we can make a difference, we are essential, you know, whatever walk of life we're in. You know, I've got some really inspiring friends. I've got a friend who started me off running, and I would never ever have ran if I hadn't known her. I've got other friends who have lost people during COVID. They've lost family members, parents, but they've been there, they've had my back, and they've gone through far worse than I have. I've just had the business really to worry about, but they've lost people, and yet they've been there for me. You know, my sister and my parents divorced when I was 6 years old, and my mom brought up 3 girls on her own. She went back to college. She went and got her O-levels, then her A-levels, then a degree, and became a social worker. She also had a job in the pub to bring in some extra cash. And I even, at one point, used to work with her. We were like bar people together. I was going to say bar maids, but I'm not going to use that word today. So I think that, you know, it's about us looking after each other, and celebrating each other's achievements, really, not just in business, but like I say, in all walks of life.
Thank you, Jules. So well said. Thank you. And here it is. Look at all the love for you today. Absolutely brilliant. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, my husband's just posted, bless him.
Oh, what a softie there he is.
Yeah, he must be having a sneaky look because he's working.
Is he? Well, he could have watched on Catch Up, but he was too excited to see it. Like we all were being dead excited for you to join us. So thanks so much, Jules. I'm looking forward to see you again. And there you go, you've done it. And I'm just so proud of you. So thanks, Jules, and we'll see you very soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
There you go. Look at all the love for Jules. Wow. And yes, you're dead right, Michelle. No one would ever know that you didn't do this on a regular basis. Absolutely fantastic. Right then, so we have our next guest in the wings. I can see she's joined us. Let me give her an intro. And we've got our other guest as well in the wings as well. So if Sukhee, you can just watch in the green room maybe for the next half hour or so, that would be great. But before that, we'll bring in Kaylee. It was the United Kingdom's first successful heart transplant baby when she received a replacement heart at less than 1. She went on to become an advocate for organ donor register, and in 2013 won a gold medal at the World Transplant Games. Hi, Kaylee.
Hi.
Lovely of you to join us.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. Hey, I tell you, when I read your bio, it just scares me how much you've done in such a short time. You know, the World Transplant Games. I want to hear all about that because I'm excited. I love fitness and running and athletics and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about that journey.
So I started off with the British Transplant Games in 1989 with just throwing the welly. And then I progressed from throwing the welly to obstacle race. It was a number of sports right through the British Transplant Games. And then I succeeded to the European Transplant Games, which was, again, in Europe. And that's when I started to get an interest in athletics. And then in 2011, I started with Gateshead Harriers, and I competed for Gateshead Harriers for about 3 years, and then I've been to 5 World Transplant Games, which was France in 2003, Canada in 2007, Thailand in 2009, missed Australia, but went to Sweden in 2011. And then I succeeded in my gold medal and became world champion in the 4x1 with 1 minute 03 seconds, and became a gold medal with 3 of my best friends in the 4x1 team relay. And Ian, it was phenomenal. It was just amazing. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. And yes, and since then I've just achieved every year and trying to succeed and trying to learn and trying to grasp everything that I can do and promote organ donation.
Wow. Mic drop, my friend. So, the very first thing we said, then you said you would go back without missing a heartbeat. Well, you are the UK's first heart transplant baby, weren't you?
Yes. So,
Wow.
to be honest, back in the day, I didn't really think I made a difference by being the person I am and who I've become. But throughout the years, the penny is finally starting to drop. And I'm starting to feel that little bit more of presence really in organ donation. And I am the key person who gets a wide range of media publicity to promote organ donation and to talk about your wishes and your conversation, and that please become an organ donation, because without my donors' families' wishes and their consent, I wouldn't be here talking to you today and your audience.
You said the penny had dropped, but did the penny not drop, Kaylee, when you had a star on the quayside? In the pavement,
No, not really.
I'd take my kids along the quayside. We walk across the Millennium Bridge from the Baltic, and we walk up and we head up Grey Street and we go for a nice meal. As we walk along, I always stop and say, "That's my friend Star there." And my daughter goes, "Wow, that's so cool." So, did the penny not drop then, Kaylee? How awesome you are.
It did and it didn't. And I think I didn't realise the impact that I have by having that star there. So it's not every day you meet someone who has a star on the Newcastle Walk of Fame. And it's right in the middle of Newcastle and a perfect place for it to be. And I'm very touched for your daughter to say that, I'm your daughter's friend. So it's just amazing. And I think the significance of it, my dad and my parents just like, "Kaylee, like, wake up, that's going to be there when you're not going to be there. And it's going to be forever in that place." And every now and again, I do have a bit of a joke with family members and all my friends saying, "Make sure you take a bottle of polish with you and give it a good, just make sure it's still there." But the penny is dropping, and it's just a huge importance to talk about organ donation.
I promise to give it a once over some Brasso next time I'm there, and I'll send you a picture.
You say that every time, Ian, and you're still waiting.
I will. I promise I will. I'm accountable now. It's out there. Okay?
I want pictures.
So,
Video the lot.
let's talk about organ donation. So we've got comments coming in there. Okay, it is really important to talk about it. What's the I know you and your mum do this, where you've been along with the Charlie and Carter ball where we first met, and it was a really inspiring talk that you and your mum gave about your journey. In terms of someone's why, you've gone through the World Transplant Games, you've been super successful. Is now your why, Kaylee, to share and to bang the drum about how important organ donation is, and if so, how do you do that? What's your platform?
I think you need to you have that discussion, you talk about your wishes, and you clarify on what you definitely want, and give a legacy, live life to the full. And it's about what you give out in life.
When we first met and we went to the ball, and the Charlie and Carter Foundation helps children and families with, you know, life-limiting diseases. It's really important to bring on people to inspire and to show that actually sometimes we're in a bit of a bubble, Kaylee, where, like, you know, we might go to work, we might come home, we might see our family, but we don't realize that there's other people out there who need our help, you know? So is this something that you do now? Do you shout about this quite a lot? Do you promote this with Publicity?
Yes, it's, you know, I'm in a unique position, and I like to shout it out from the rooftop, so to speak, and share my story, share other patients' stories as well, and children's. And, you know, when I started in 1989, even though I was starting off with throwing the welly and winning a gold medal because I was the only child in it, but on the other hand, to share the unique position of being the first baby in the UK to have a heart transplant, that it is successful, that it can be done, and to have that conversation. And a lot of people say, well, it's not going to happen to me. Well, it happened to me, and because of the decision that was taken by my donor's family, I'm here to prove that to you, that it does work and it is successful. And, you know, and you can ask me anything with regards to organ donation, and with 9 times out of 10, I will have that answer. Or my mum will, or Lynn Holt will, who's my transplant coordinators. They're my inspirations and who I truly admire and who I look up to, along with all my medical teams who has looked after me for the last 33 years.
You talked there, Kaylee, about your medical team, and you mentioned a coordinator, which I didn't even think that was a thing. So do you keep in constant contact? I mean, I know you've been you go for regular checkups and stuff like that. Is that
Yes.
the process, that you just keep an eye on you?
Yes. So basically, I have my heart surgeon, which is Christopher McGregor, and my transplant coordinators, which is Lynn Holt and Pam Yanis, and they are like family to me. We are in regular contact. We, you know, post each other and email and so on and so forth. Who come to my parties, you know, they're more family to me than just my friends or professionals. They are my world, and without them, I wouldn't be here. So that's who I truly admire and who I really look up to. And my parents as well, who keep me on my toes.
And vice versa.
So to speak. And they're just
You keep them on their toes.
Start again. Pardon?
You keep them on their toes, Kaylee. I know you do.
Yeah. And I think me and my mum kind of like bounce off each other, and we work as a team. And again, without her, I wouldn't be the person I am today. So I truly, hats off to her really for bringing me up and being the best person who I can be, to be honest.
Yeah, and your mum speaks so wonderfully and passionately and very articulately when she talks about the journey. And the heart transplant, Kaylee, was done in the Northeast, wasn't it?
Yeah, so basically I had my transplant at Newcastle Freeman Hospital, and I put that, I was one of those patients who put the hospital on the map in the terms of cardiothoracics and transplantation, and the transplant system just went up from there really. And, you know, I'm one of those priorities that I would get in contact with me if they need to push that little bit button or do an appeal for a child or make sure a transplantation is known within the Northeast.
And the world, Kaylee.
Yes, I know. You know, it scares me. It absolutely terrifies me. But, you know, to be the longest surviving baby in the UK and to be third in the world is just it's phenomenal. But I'm in contact with other transplant recipients all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
Eddie in the USA, who was the first transplant baby in the world, who lives in Las Vegas, who I am dying to go and meet and live it up in Las Vegas. Hey. You know, and, you know, be part of that team and be being part of the family.
Yeah, it's really important. And, you know, today is International Women's Day, and it's really important to have a voice. And we've given a voice today to some women who don't like to speak up too much, just like Jules there, our last guest. And it's such a wonderful platform to share stuff. So you have a platform, Kaylee, like you said there, sometimes they ask you to do some promotion or be a part of that. What's your sort of real passion that you love to share? You know, is it like you've done the Transplant Games, you've done so much? Is it trying to inspire others that this is like you can still do all these great things?
Yeah, I live life to the full, to the max. I do test myself, I do challenge myself. Love a challenge. Can't get enough of a challenge. And I really thrive on learning and inspiring other people to talk about organ donation, to make sure that they are aware of it. And just because they don't think it doesn't happen to them, and when it does, they need just that encouragement to think about others as well. So that is, I can't give that prime example enough and get my word across enough for you to promote organ donation.
So we mentioned it was International Women's Day, and we had a quick chat yesterday, and I said to you, I want to know what Choose to Challenge means to you, and what you might want to share. So you must have that written down in your little book there, have you?
Yeah. I'm just going to read for a few minutes.
Go for it.
Again, I just think it's been in a unique position to promote organ donation and make the public aware of signing up. Obviously, there's the soft opt-out system at the moment that just came in 2020. It's called Max and Kira's Law. And that is the soft opt-out system where everyone is automatically put into the system to promote organ donation unless you opt out for any of for your reason to promote organ donation. So you just need to, it's just consent and talk about your wishes, share that conversation with your family and friends, and tell them what you want that promoting organ donation and being a donor is leaving a legacy. And look at me and look at other transplant recipients who have survived and who are living proof that transplantation does work.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned there about soft opt-in or opt-out?
Soft opt-out system. Yes.
How does it actually work, Kaylee? What does that actually mean? So does that mean that you have to opt out and I'm already in now?
So you're automatically put into the system, and then if you go on to the organ donation website, there's a link there where you can opt out and give your consent.
So, you know, the days where you used to have like a card in your wallet, which was like an organ donor, and you'd have to sign the back, and it would like, you know, is that all gone now? So you can just you just already opted in.
You're already into the system, wow. Yes. So it's still ideally you still should need it, just in case if you're in an accident and everything else. And again, your driving license, it should be already on there, whether you should be asked the question when you applied. So that's when you give your answer. And again, it's just information, giving your consent to say that you're an organ donor, and it gives you a list of what you like to donate or what you can't donate, and then they'll just go by your next of kin and so on and so forth. So just follow the link, and then obviously if you're in an accident or anything else, the doctors or NHS will contact you.
Thanks, Kaylee, for
the next of kin. Sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for sharing that. It is really important. And I remember, and you remember the time we had with Carter Cookson, you know, with find a heart for Carter through the Charlie and
Yeah,
Carter Foundation
yeah.
was very emotive, very, very emotional time to try to find a heart for baby Carter, and unfortunately time ran out and we didn't.
I was part of that team, and I kept Sarah and Chris in the loop as much as I can, and it breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart when that child doesn't receive what they need to survive. But it's just such a difficult subject, and every time I see Sarah and Chris or any parent who is going through this stage in their life, that I just try and wrap them up in cotton wool and give the support that they need just to get over this hurdle and survive.
Yeah. And there's our Carol there saying everyone should still talk to their families. So I think that's really important, isn't it? To actually share your feelings about organ donation as well.
Yeah. So we talk about organ donation throughout my family, my friends, for all those who know me. To be honest, I don't really need to say much because they know the title, they know who I am, and they might ask me a few questions here and there, and then they're off the go and they do what they need to do. And because of me or because of other transplant recipients, they sign the register, or it could be a member of their family who's had kidney transplant, liver transplant, become a donor themselves, been in the kidney pool, so on and so forth. It's a world. It's a different world, but it's definitely a unique position to be in.
It certainly isn't. It is, Kaylee. I'm so pleased you've joined us today and give us a window into that world, and hopefully made people look a bit further into that world and look into organ donation and maybe think about it or have a conversation about it, as Carol's just said there, or maybe jump onto that website and opt in, or tick all the boxes and that kind of thing. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to leave us with, Kaylee, before you go?
No, that's it. Thank you very much for having me.
So I'm going to get the Brasso out and a duster, and I'm definitely going to polish that star because I'm accountable, right? And if my son and daughter's watching, we'll do it together, and I will take a video and I will post it.
Good.
Right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I love
Thank
you.
you for having
I'll
me.
see you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you to Mum as well.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye-bye now.
There's our Kaylee. What a woman. I love her. Right. We've got another fantastic woman waiting in the wings. Let me see. Let me read this introduction. Originally from Mongolia, in 2001, Sukhee moved to the northeast of England. Sukhee is the host of the I'm Possible conversation, a platform where you can share your life stories. Welcome to International Women's Day 2021, my friend Sukhee.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Ian.
How are you, my beautiful friend?
I'm very good. I am very excited.
Oh, yeah. I love that. No, I love that about you, because you get excited about absolutely everything that you do and you go all in. And if you remember, we did, well, I say we, I'm the royal we, I'm claiming something here. The Power of You conference that you hosted in Newcastle a couple of years ago, and I was fortunate that you asked me to speak there. When I'm talking about you getting excited, that was such a great conference that you put on, and I don't think you'd actually put anything like on before, had you?
No, that was first time.
Yeah. So you don't bite off little chunks, do you? You go all in.
There is no point, is there?
Well, fair enough. Are you going to do that again then?
I would love to, but it's quite strange, Ian. Thinking back now, when you don't know of stuff, you just go for it blindly. And now you just getting to know things. It is kind of, you started boxing yourself. Have I got that? Have I got that? And I'm hating that bit because it's better. It's like beauty of not knowing, and everything goes well. Yeah.
So often said, ignorance is bliss. So you kind of go into these things thinking it's going to be really easy, but then as you go through, you find out it isn't. But then you're in now, and what do you do? You've promoted, you've put tickets out there. That conference was going, you couldn't pull the plug, and you just have to ride with those punches. And look what happened. Awesome.
Yeah, and you learn. That's the main thing. You learn.
Yeah. You do indeed, and it's interesting. Something that I'm really proud of you. We mentioned there in the top there, you're originally from Mongolia, and English is not your first language, right? And you're here in the Northeast, and you're a member of the Professional Speaking Association. You've got your own show where you'll interview people on the I'm Possible, and how do you find that, Sukhee? That is there still a language barrier? I know you've been here 20 years.
And you know what? I'm really, and I think the people who are watching on a Facebook, like if our broadcast live stream is subtitled, people are laughing because the subtitles won't get my accent. They come like so many different words and combinations, and it's just so funny. Yeah, English is quite a big barrier for me. That's what I think. But then, because of that, if I don't do things, that's not good, isn't it?
Well, Carolyn's just summed it up there, hasn't she? Just learn and grow. You've just said there, there's like doing it, or not doing it is not an option. Sometimes, is it? You just have to actually do it.
Yeah. So,
talk to me a little bit about the Impossible conversation. So you go live just like this with a guest. Where did that come from, Sukhee? What was the inspiration behind that?
Okay. I joined Toastmasters when I got made redundant from my work. And that was my very first out of comfort thing to do, the public speaking. And I don't really public speak, but being there in front of people speaking nonsense in my in my case. So that like at Toastmasters, it was just opening. It was the starting of everything. And then I joined PSA. I don't speak, but hanging out with people who's knowledgeable and know what they're doing. It's all about learning, being in that environment. And that's how it started. So at that time, I had a group of friends who was into very personal development. And then what we said was, there was a Les Brown's quote, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not to be prepared. So we were talking, and then, are you ready to, if someone wants to interview you, are you ready? I've asked them, and they said none of them were ready. So I said, do you know what? I'll interview you. You prepare, you practice. So that's how it started. And I went live in December 2018, very first time. And twice in December, it was in a private group, and then started like when went public, I guess. And then people were starting, what are you doing? How does it work? And because it wasn't like Industry Angel, it wasn't that big. It's just like a few friends playing here and there. And then like I am interviewing people, come and share your story. You come, you're welcome. And then people started coming, and they seemed like very enjoying it. And it was experience for me. And that was some of them, it's experience for them, and then exposure and the different stuff. So that's how it started. And so far I got about 100 guests on my show. It's scary, isn't it?
You are wild,
Yeah, wild. That's I am.
You are wild because, pressing that red button that says go live, and you push yourself into YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and wherever. It's hard, isn't it?
It is very scary. I even like nowadays, it is scary. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And but you know what we're pretty much saying here is you just got to get it done.
Yeah, we have to do it. And then what I was thinking is, because we practice a lot in our own selves, but then I'm probably doing it without being perfect. And then if other people benefiting from it, why can't I practice? That's not really the right word. I can still do it publicly and grow myself as well as benefiting other people. So do it either way.
I totally agree. I totally agree. It is practice. I'm practicing now and trying to polish and get better and, you know, everything. And I love the fact that there might be a slight language barrier with you. And I know sometimes we've spoke, Sukhee, or typed, and sometimes you've kind of asked a question like, just reframe that for me. And what did you mean by that? And you go live, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see. Let me just talk about the power of you though, and actually not just the power of you, the reason behind it, because personal development is something that if I had to sum you up, Sukhee, that would be a couple of words that I'd use. That you're very interested in personal development. Always seems like you're trying to progress. Would I be right?
I had that phase, yes.
A phase.
Because it is different. It's becoming different year by day. Yeah. Because when the power of you, I felt like I can do anything I want, and yeah, it is very different because you can have that. Yeah. Look, this is what I do. And they still get away with it.
You know the personal development piece though. Why was that interesting at that time? You said that was a phase, so I'm guessing it was something that you lent into to try to maybe grow. Is that something that you were? Would I be right?
Yeah, because that personal development phase, that was where I had like-minded people around me, and all trying to achieve something bigger than themselves. And having that environment, like-minded people, helped me a lot. So we pushed each other, supported each other, and we believed that the power is in our hand. Like, external things doesn't define us, so we could do whatever we want to do. Yeah.
That sounded really powerful. The power is in your hands.
Yeah, it's our choice, isn't it? We got that power. Yeah. So it is basically choice. Yeah.
This is International Women's Day, Sukhee. What does that mean to you in your role, in your life, in business? You know, the kind of strapline for this is choose to challenge. What does that mean to you?
I was thinking International Women's Day, because that's equivalent of Mother's Day back in Mongolia.
Okay.
So we celebrated Mother's Day and International Women's Day. And I was thinking why we haven't here it separate. And I watched the previous few ladies' conversation. It was basically about the women's equality. And that means we need to have our own voice. And I'm actually very not surprised. I was thinking, because it's International Women's Day and the women's saying they need to do that, we need to be that. But why don't men gather together and talk about what we can do for women to have better rights? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's International Men's Day as well, and it's all about equality, and that's what we want, is parity with gender, and this is why I'm doing it today. And you know, we need allies on these topics, and we need to all come together. It's for all of us to influence change, and you know, some of the guests we've had on today will certainly influence change in a way that they would never have maybe thought they might do, because a lot of our guests today are very humble, but doing some magnificent things. So, you know, it's about giving a platform, isn't it? And helping them to inspire others. Would you agree, Sukhee?
Yeah, I do, because I do my Impossible conversation. It's about ordinary people's extraordinary stories. And when I bring them ladies, obviously men as well, it's just like one of us, but there are just a huge achievement behind them. I had Ree Pearson, a lady who collected women's old bras, and from that she built a school somewhere in, I can't remember, where was it, in African country or was it in Tibet? So can you imagine, just like a single woman organized that and then built a whole school, and then children who's going that school, and it's all about ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, it is so right. And I think what you said, just that, the start of that little bit of conversation you said there was, you interview people that people might not know, or you kind of give a voice to. And I was talking about this with Dinah at the top of the show, where we often talk about people, the likes of Jeff Bezos, I mentioned, and Steve Jobs, and all these people who we kind of know and recognize. But some of the guests that you bring on, you're sharing their journeys, but they might not be that well known because they do keep their heads down. I absolutely love that, because what you find is in shows like this, podcasts, live streams, whatever, the guest is often looking for someone who's a real rock star, who has an audience that they can leverage, and they can shout about and say, right, okay, I've got Sukhee on today, and I want to, you know, access her millions of followers because she's an awesome rock star around the world, right? People try to do that, whereas what you do is you're not really bothered about like their social following, whether they're a name on the circuit or whatever. You just want to share their journey, don't you?
Yeah, I do, because that's my value. What's the point of, I don't know, because I'm not doing it for business purposes. It's about bringing the people's stories. And then when they share their stories, the people who watch that story, they will benefit because it's real people, ordinary people. Yeah. So that's the reason.
And
then by sharing, it's like everyone has a lesson to share. And they find it's connect people.
Yeah, you're dead right. Everyone has a story, and you can always learn from people, no matter what walk of life or whether you think they're inspirational or not. Sometimes someone will leave you with such a wonderful thought or a golden nugget that can actually change your mindset and many others. So you are dead right. You don't have to walk Everest to, you know, get on a show. You don't have to have, you know, overcome some adversity. Just have a voice, really, and have something to share. And thinking about that, Sukhee, what is your why? What is your purpose in all of this?
It is about fulfillment, because we work very hard to get that business successful, having a success, being well known, but like at the end, everyone says like to change someone's life and like big things. It's like bringing this. It is all about fulfillment. Yeah.
I love that. Fulfillment of you, Sukhee. So
of course it's of me. It is of course me, because when we start, I want to help people. I want to change one's life. I want that and I want that. And then like when you ask why so many times, the very bottom, it's like you want to be happy. You want to be fulfilled. So I'm cutting all those helping people and then between things. And I just say, I want to be fulfilled, and doing these things makes me happy and fulfilled. Yeah.
I love that. That made me them asking why. I think it's the Toyota principle, the 5 whys. You know, someone will say something and you say why, and then you keep drilling and drilling and drilling, and you finally get to that last reason why something's happened. what do you often see that base why is, Sukhee? What do you often uncover with your guests?
They're all so different, but they're all amazing and they just don't know how amazing they are.
Yeah.
And because it's their everyday life, we just don't realize. Yeah, I would say, because for example, because I don't run, and then you run here, and then if someone does this great enough run and raising monies for charities, for me that person is like, whoa, that's just absolutely amazing. But that person runs every day. It's part of their exercise routine. It's nothing for them.
Yeah.
And so we can see it from different perspective.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting though when you're speaking with people that when you ask them why, a lot of people will say, why are you doing this? Because you make no money doing that. And often it's got nothing to do with commercial gain whatsoever. It's just a passion inside you. And, there's our Anne there just said that, you're both generally interested in connecting with people and that sort of stuff. It is, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I just love speaking with people and creating a relationship and understanding who that person is without any commercial gain whatsoever. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it's just like so amazing, their stories. And then you always see why that person's that person, because you know their stories, what they've been through, and how he's or she's been shaped into that person who they are now. It's all their past.
Yeah, it is. And do you mind me drilling into your past at all, Sukhee? You mentioned you were from Mongolia 20 years ago. How was the transition across to the UK?
Yes, I am originally from Mongolia and came 20 years ago in UK. Had a very happy childhood and life back in Mongolia. And then there was some revolution and everything happened. So if you see the shops, they only sold salt, nothing else. It was like in that situation. But life was happy. The thing is, because when we don't know any different, we just accept it. And then we came to UK, like my husband and we came to UK because we had friends here, and straight came to Newcastle and stayed here. Didn't really go, just felt right place to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No family, Sukhee, when you came, just you and your husband?
Yeah, I don't have much family here, to be honest. My son and his girlfriend lives just a few streets away. And that's one thing I miss quite a lot. Mm-hmm. Like having not family around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's our Jules saying, what a lovely lady. Yes, she is. You mentioned just about Mongolia there. I'm really interested. You've seen all the sold as salt?
No, that was like that economical, like hardship that time. It was not part of Soviet Union. It was under the Soviet influence and everything. And then it was, I don't know how to say it in English. Let's just leave it there.
I love when you do that. We'll be having a conversation. You'll just be like, you'll be like, I'm not telling you.
Yeah, it is not surprise or anything, but it was the, what do you call it? The economical something, yeah.
Okay. Tell me what's next, Sukhee. What does the future hold? What do you want to do?
I'm going to bring more people's stories, and I'm going to, because what I saw is when I interview people, because it's an hour interview, people don't really watch them whole lot. And I think people are missing out. So I've started doing that little posts based on people's stories. Yeah. So in that way, people will see them more. And I would like to be more active on LinkedIn, because I do believe, but I don't believe the people's titles, because I would like people connect to each other as a person, who they are as a person, not as Ian's, he's industry angel, he's got a like fantastic podcast, I need to be friends with him. I don't want that. I want people connect each other as a person and then take it from there. So I would like to bring people's stories on LinkedIn.
So creating good content then. So rather than like connecting with people because of your job title, it's creating content, putting it out there, and then people kind of coming to you, maybe being interested in what you do and the content.
Yeah. What did you say?
So my question was, what's next for Sukhee though? What are you going to do? Are you going to put something in the sand? I'm
going to bring loads of people's stories on LinkedIn. So when people check in, they would know more about your volunteering and buying cow and chicken for the poor lady in Thailand.
Oh yeah, when I bought
your industry angel. Yeah. So and then therefore they will understand you, what drives you even more. That's what I would like to do.
Yeah, so we bought a cow for Rose in Kenya. Eh? That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, Kiva. If anybody wants to join our group, we've got a group on Kiva, and we microfinance projects out in developing countries, which is exciting stuff. So, Sukhee, before you go, are you going to do the Power of You again in a conference?
I would love to, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'd love to, because it's all for charity, and every little helps.
Yeah. So, in terms of the last time, just give us a quick overview of what happened, what it was about.
The Power of You is a personal growth event, and lots of people watch Tony Robbins and Tom Bilyeu, big Brené Brown, big names. And they go to London, Manchester, big cities. And I've noticed we don't have much that big event here. So that was my attempt to bring personal growth event in-person conference in Northeast. So yeah, would like to do it again. Bigger speakers, bigger stage, more people raising money for charity, more sponsors. Yeah. It's all about giving away.
Can you remember when we could get together and do that?
We can, yeah.
If over COVID, Sukhee, I'm just desperate to get into a networking event and be able to get on stage and speak and meet people and shake people by the hands and have hugs and selfies.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be soon. It'll be soon. It's getting better.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right then. So is there anything that you'd like to share before we let you go, Sukhee?
It's a very quick one. Mm-hmm. The one was a challenge. What was the theme challenge? The International Women's Day challenge.
Oh, the choose to challenge, the hashtag.
And choose to challenge. Yeah. It's in front of me. Why am I not?
Sukhee, I got no. It's in massive letters.
It's like front of me. Yeah. Choose the challenge. Yeah. Choose the challenge. I would like people choose to challenge, like especially women, themselves and get out of their comfort zone and do stuff they don't do, like more regular basis. In that way, we would have the belief and behave we are entitled to be there, rather than asking permission and waiting approval from the places that we believe it's not equal.
I love that. Absolutely love that. I'm going to create a little 30-second promo video of that, Sukhee. Very well said.
It's 12:38, Ian.
It's what?
It's 12:38.
I know, that's fine. I love you. I want to keep you on as long as I can. Look, Anne, look at all these comments.
Oh,
You know,
thanks, Anne.
everyone
Anne's
loves you.
great. Thank you.
Yeah. And there's our Jules who's been on as well. Yeah. Fantastic. Right then, so I'm going to have to love you and leave you. When will I see you again? When we're allowed to be in person at events? But it won't be long.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, I would like to go to your brand new office.
You should do that. It's fun. It's good. There's beanbags everywhere. Right, Sukhee, I'm going to say goodbye. Are you muting yourself there?
Yeah, I am.
Stop muting yourself, lass. Right. I'll see you later. It's been lovely. Thank you so much for joining us, Sukhee. You've been amazing as always, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks very much, Ian.
Thanks, Sukhee.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye. There you go. There's our Sukhee. So many messages. You know, the question I've asked there is like kind of what choose to challenge means to you. And beanbag party when we can. You're right, Victoria. You know, what does that mean to you, choose to challenge? And I've learned so much from our speakers there. I'm so blessed and inspired to have them on. It's been amazing. And we've got a full day left of International Women's Day. So what does that mean to you? What are you going to do? Support anything you can. Jump on your social feeds. Look at the hashtag. Look, there's bound to be other bits and pieces happening today. And try and maybe jump on their website and see what it's all about, what the message is, and see what you can do to help share that out. So we're going to end today's broadcast. Thank you so much once again. If you want to share this, that's great. That'll help people kind of watch it again on catch up. And we'll be doing this very soon, once again, another live stream. Let me know how it's been. Let me know what you want to see. Let me who you want to hear from. That would be great. So have a great rest of the International Women's Day. Thank you so much for joining us, and we shall see you again very soon. Thanks for listening.